he's just continuing to get better. He's improving. Every day brings a new challenge, crowd noise today. So there's new things that he's learning every day. And, again, he's working hard. He's like every other rookie. They are introduced to a whole new level of football. And there's going to be days of failure and days of success. And as long as they can keep getting better, that's what we're looking for. Quarterback has to be the leader of the team, and I see him leading out there. That's what we brought him here for, to lead and play really good football. So I've been pleased with him, and he knows that he can get better.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And welcome to Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies here at Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio. 9:20, we come into the sounds of Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak talking about one of the big storylines with the team, which is the quarterback room. Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, Aiden O'Connell. And it's funny, we talk about the quarterbacks so often, and we'll ask questions to the coaches about the quarterback room. Coach Mike McCoy, I know I asked him about Kirk Cousins the other day, and he wanted to make sure, hey, don't forget about Aiden O'Connell. And that's the same thing, Clint Kubiak. Hey, we have 3 quarterbacks that can go and play on Sunday if we needed them to. And so sometimes we lose track on that. We lose sight on that because, again, it's about the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. It's all about the veteran that they brought in to not mentor, that's not the right word, but just go ahead and be an example, show the young guy the ropes, and at the same time help this team win games. And when the young guy's ready to go, then the Raiders will pass the sticks on to him. But it's just so funny that we get caught up in Cousins, Mendoza, Cousins. Sometimes we fail to mention Aiden O'Connell, but I do love the fact that the coaching staff, they have not forgot. They have not lost sight, and they continue to bring him up as well. And it's really a good blessing for the team to have 3 guys that, like I said before, if a game was being played on Sunday, and actually there's a game being played next Thursday, but if there was a game being played on Sunday that mattered and they needed to roll a quarterback out there to go try to win the game, they have 3 options at this stage of the game. So that's Clint Kubiak talking about, like I said, one of the big storylines with this team when it comes to the quarterback room. Another day of practice is in the books. That's now 8 practices. They were back in pads today. Guys like Speedy Naylor, we didn't see them out there, but it was very encouraged to see Jermod McCoy back out there. Thought that was a big deal because he wasn't out there yesterday, and that was something that was told to us was part of the plan they have for him. But to see him back out there in pads and see the intensity level, the energy level be a lot higher, in my opinion, than it was yesterday. And I guess the pads happened to bring that, right? There was some intensity. There was some back and forth. I could tell these guys are getting a little frustrated going up against each other. And you always know that happens during training camp, right? Especially when it's 100-something degrees the minute that you wake up, right? And that's what it is. I mean, the minute that you walk out the house, you're already sweating bullets. But it's just what it is. You put pads on, you get out there, you're putting in work, you're trying to do the best that you can, and there's some guy in front of you that's trying to make sure that you don't do the best that you can. And so at some point you're going to get frustrated with these guys, and that's what happens. And that's when it's getting closer to preseason games because they start to get a little irritated and start to do a little pushing and shoving. And we saw that a few times today. Even Kirk Cousins and Maxx Crosby had a little back and forth that, wasn't a big deal, but it was kind of cool to see the quarterback at 38 years old, Kirk Cousins, kind of look at Max like, hey, man, I know you're the big bad bully on the block, but you ain't going to be the big bad bully on the block to me. Right, you might be Debo, but I'm Craig, right? And I ain't worried about I ain't worried about what you're talking about or what you're looking like or what you've done to the rest of the cats on the block. But I'm gonna be that guy, and so not a big deal, like I said. But it was pretty cool to see the quarterback just say, hey man, these are my guys, and we're gonna ride on this side of the ball. And so again, that's just to me, and as I mentioned it after the little back and forth happened. If you didn't already have the attention of the guys in the locker room, a little dust up like that with the baddest dude in the land, that'll get your attention from the other dudes in the locker room. That is for sure. So we got plenty of time to talk about everything that went on in practice, everything that's going on with this team as they get ready for another practice coming up on tomorrow before they have an off day on Sunday, and then a big practice coming up at Allegiant Stadium on Tuesday that we really look forward to. They'll practice on Monday as well, but that one on Tuesday is going to be a lot of fun. 6 p.m. practice, little scrimmage action, $5 ticket if you want to get in there and get a glimpse of your team. You could do that, Raiders.com. Like I said, it's $5. The money goes to the Raiders Foundation. So that's nothing. $5 to get into Allegiant Stadium. That's worth the price of admission every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So definitely encourage everyone that if you have not got your tickets yet, if you are thinking about being in attendance, just don't think about it anymore. Just be about it. Just go ahead and make sure that happens. Matter of fact, trying to work on a way that this show can generate from Allegiant Stadium on next Tuesday. And then, of course, that's the last practice before the preseason game versus the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday, which as well, this show will come to you live from Allegiant Stadium. As a matter of fact, we'll just do a little bit of housekeeping right now. We'll do 12 to 3. We came to that conclusion today. We'll do 12 to 3, unnecessary roughness, and then I'll do 3 to 5 for the pregame show, and then I'll pass the sticks on to JT, EA, and Matt Millen, who will be on the call for the game on the radio side of things, and then I'll do the postgame show. So it's going to be a lot of Q, starting at noon on the 13th, but we wouldn't have it any other way, right? That's how we roll. So it should be a real fun, exciting time. So if you're thinking about coming to town, or you're already in town and you want to go to that game, just kind of know how it's all going to play out the next few days there next week on the 11th and the 13th. A lot of action from Allegiant Stadium, and that's when you know it's real. I mentioned it last week, man, getting the credential in my hand, realizing, okay, this is what I'll be putting around my neck each and every Sunday, every home game, knowing, okay, now once you start getting this in your hand, that's when you know it is absolutely 100% go time. And, I mean, it doesn't sign off of go time any more than actually having a game and having a pregame show and having a postgame show. And on the pregame show, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be me and Lincoln doing that show, and that's always great. And then me and Lincoln will do the postgame show as well. So I can't, man. I ain't nobody got it better than me. I'll put it like that. I got a real good opportunity all preseason long, to be able to rock with Lincoln for not just a segment, not two segments, but a 2-hour pregame show and then a postgame show as well. Yeah, that's right up my wheelhouse. So we'll have a lot of fun doing that, not only for the Cardinals game, but the Texans game and San Francisco as well, closing out the preseason. But like I said, we'll get you caught up on everything that you need to know each and every day. We'll continue to update you how it goes down. Coming up on the show today, though, because we got to get through today first, right? We got to get through the weekend before we worry about what's happening next week. 2:30, our normal Friday guest, Sam Warren from The Athletic. See him each and every day out at the practice facility. He'll get you caught up on everything when it comes to what happened at practice, how he's been seeing the quarterback position evolve, how he's been seeing the wide receiver position, the team in general, the defense. I thought the defense had a really good day today. Especially in one-on-one drills, saw DBs getting their hands on the ball, saw DBs intercepting the ball, saw multiple guys come up with interceptions like Jeremy Chin, Zeke Masses off of Kirk Cousins. Saw Aiden O'Connell get picked. There was a play or two that was made against one of his passes. Fernando Mendoza had a couple of his passes broken up. I thought the DBs had a really good day as far as just stepping up and showing out. So I'll let Sam break it down and say what stood out to him, but he'll join us as he always does on Fridays. He'll do that coming up at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, Cynthia Frelund from the NFL Network and the Numbers Game on YouTube. She was at the Hall of Fame game last night, a very entertaining Hall of Fame game, and they're not always like that. It's funny, I was sitting in the media room earlier today, and we were talking about the Hall of Fame game from last night, and I was going back to the one from 2022, the one where actually the one I met Nick Shook at from NFL.com, the one I was sitting in the press box in, the fact that game, it was a weather delay. It was Jason Horowitz's first game that he was ever calling as the voice of the silver and black, and we just sat there and didn't know if that game was ever going to get going, and finally it did, but that was not a fun, entertaining game. Last night, that was a fun, entertaining game. Carson Beck, the third-round pick out of Miami, he was really good for the Cardinals, and don't look now, but the guy that I talked about quite a bit leading up to the draft process, Haynes King out of Georgia Tech, quarterback that went undrafted, by the way, had himself a hell of a night as well. And I got a couple texts from some folks last night like, hey, man, wasn't that your guy that you were talking about? Yes, it was. Now, he showed why I thought he was going to be a really good quarterback. I believe he'll be a really good backup at best, or at worst, he'll be a really good backup, I should say, in the NFL. But he also showed why he went undrafted. He had a dude, Joe Horn, right wide open in the end zone and just threw it behind him. Like, those are the layups is the ones you have to have. You have to be able to connect on those, and he just sailed it smooth out of bounds. And so those are the ones that say, okay, yep, now I see the warts that you have in your game. Again, he's a gamer. He's a dude that does some things with his legs. He's got a lot of ability. He's got a live arm. Somehow he's got to be able to reel that bad boy in, and he wasn't able to last night. But they did. The Carolina Panthers, who he plays for, did win that game last night. Not that the wins and losses matter, but the way that they won it was pretty cool, and it was by way of Haynes King running the ball in from about, 5 or 6 yards out. So I thought that was a really fun, entertaining Hall of Fame game, and just kind of let you know that football is back. It's preseason, but football is still back. So Cynthia Frelund will join us at 3 o'clock to tell us all the action going on in Canton, Ohio, with the Pro Football Hall of Fame class coming up this weekend, and obviously the game last night. We'll shoot some other NFL conversation with her at 3. Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show. She'll join us at 4 o'clock, and I know that she's at the facility, the Raiders facility, and she had an opportunity to talk to GM John Spytek and Kirk Cousins, Maxx Crosby. I know she's talking to a bunch of coaches and players, and so she'll give you the latest and the greatest and everything that she's hearing and how she's thinking about this team as well. We'll do that at 4 o'clock. It's always great to catch up with Amber Theoharis, so that'll happen at 4 on the show. And then we'll hear from you as well, throughout the course of the show, as we always do on this Aloha Friday at 702-365-9200. Sam Warren at 2:30, Cynthia Frelund at 3, Amber Theoharis at 4 o'clock, and, of course, you. Before we get into the opening drive, before we hear from our guy E-Rob, we got to hear from my guy Ari. He's got to have the word of the day for the Summer of Fun. Next week's Summer of Fun is the one that matters the most to me. That's the trip to Hawaii. But hey, man, every trip is a good trip, right? So Yellowstone or Grand Canyon National, or, of course, you could take the cash. The cash is $3,000, but you got to be able to text what word to 702-365-9200.
Hiking, Hiking, hiking.
Okay, that's simple. That's simple. You can go ahead and get on a hike if you want. So there you go. Get your hiking on. Hiking. Text that right now, 702-365-9200. We'll make sure to update you on that word throughout the course of the show, because I know my guy Dave will definitely text in and be like, hey, I didn't get the word. Tell Q to do it again. So we're going to try to do that so Dave doesn't have to send that text, but we'll probably forget because that's what we do. 702-365-9200. We got to hear from our guy E-Rob. Yesterday was important. Tomorrow's definitely going to be important, but it's Aloha Friday, and it's important. Why?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out, because you know I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
As I was walking to my car, leaving the facility earlier today and headed over to Studio Q, headed to the house to get ready for the show, all I could think of is what a great opportunity, and the vibes that are around the building and the way that the guys are out there practicing and competing. And there was a handful of fans there today in attendance. It wasn't a whole big group, but there was a select few, and I thought that was really cool. But just the whole way that everything has been coming together. And I know the easy storyline, especially for the national guys that come into town to watch practice, it's always about Fernando. But then I kept thinking there's so many different storylines, and we've spoke with Kirk Morrison about this as well, that there's so many different elements of this team. Like, I'm looking up at the TV right now, and Raiders' first preseason game Thursday versus Cardinals, Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall pick. Like, that is the feature right there on ESPN right now as we speak. It's funny that we're having this conversation, but that's not. It's not the Las Vegas Fernandos. It's not the Mendoza Raiders. It's literally so many different things that you could talk about and so many different storylines as this team is trying to be built. And this coach, Clint Kubiak, we got to talk to him earlier, how he's trying to put his culture in this organization and, create winning habits and teaching moments and obviously competing. We saw JPJ and Caleb Rogers, going back and forth again with the first team and second team when it comes to the right guard position. Saw Malik Benson mixing it up with the ones, right? I think a lot of that had to do with Jalen Naylor not being there, but that's okay. Doesn't matter how you get an opportunity. It's the fact that you got an opportunity, you go and you run with it, right? So you saw Benson running with the ones. You saw Brendan Jackson and Malcolm Kuntz, right? They were getting a lot of first-team burn because Kwity Paye, he wasn't out there. Bowers and Mayer, we talked to him. He seems like he's such a good place, busted nose and all, black eyes and all, right, from the busted nose that he got, but, really in a good place when he went to the podium and, was just talking about the opportunity. And Didn't blame anyone else for him not really living up to the expectations yet. All he kept saying was, it's up to me. I've got to do it. I've got to be available. I've got to, step up and make things happen. Like, never once pointed the finger at anyone else, where he easily could have said, yeah, well, year 1, I didn't like the coach. Year 2, I had personal situation. Year 3, it was, and blame it on whatever. I was injured. I had a concussion. No, it's on me. I've got to make it happen. I could really appreciate that accountability. And again, talking to all the players that we talk to, whether it's in a group setting at the podium or if I get a little one-on-one action, everyone is to a T all in on the we and the we're going to get this thing going in the right direction together, right? It's nothing that I can do as an individual. It's nothing that he could do as an individual. It's how we got to do this together. So I want to throw it out there to you. What storyline has excited you the most about this team building process, right? What's because there's so many of them. It's not just Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. There's so many different elements. Now, there's some years where you can look at teams and be like, oh, it's all about just that guy or just that position or just that coach. Like with the Bears last year, for example, the storyline was what? Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson together. Can Ben Johnson, the whiz kid, as the offensive coordinator, can he get Caleb Williams right? Like, that was all that it was about when it comes to the Bears. But with the Raiders, you've got, obviously, the quarterback. You've got the head coach who, oh, by the way, just came off winning a Super Bowl, right? You've got the story of the offensive line that was really bad last year and how Rick Dennison and company can make it a lot better this year. You got the storyline of Maxx being traded, untraded, back, feeling good about himself. You got the storyline of the linebacking room looking a lot better and the playmakers on defense, the revamped secondary. Right? I mean, there's just so many different storylines. Robbie Leonard going from a defensive line coach to the defensive coordinator. What's that new look defense going to be? And then on top of that, just the overall positive vibes, the direction that the organization is going. Just the fact that, we hear from Trey Tucker and he says that everyone is bought in 1,000%, and that starts at the top. Not even guys on the field. The folks at the very top, from the president, Sandra Douglas Morgan, all the way down. Everyone is all bought in, all going in the right direction, all can see the light at the end of the tunnel and know that they're doing things right. And it's funny because I try not to get too high or too low on any type situation. I like to just see how everything evolves and how it comes together. But it is really, really difficult not to believe that this coaching staff and company is going to get it done correctly. And no, that doesn't mean they're a playoff team year 1 or they're going to go to the Super Bowl year 1. That's not what I'm saying. It just feels like this coaching staff gets it. Whenever I see Clint Kubiak step to the podium and address the media, or I see him talk to, players to the side or just the way he conducts the practice, it just seems like a guy who's been there and done that and is not a first-time head coach. It just feels like a guy that is knows exactly what to do and when to do it and how to do it. The fact that they have plans in place for some of these guys that are a little bumped and bruised and nicked up, and the fact that they had a really good plan with Jamad McCoy and they seem like that they've been executing that correctly. The fact that, Jalen Naylor, Kwity Paye, Kieron Crawford, a couple guys, not available to go practice today. Hey, we're just gonna hold them out. It'll be okay. Not a big deal. Want to make sure that they're good to go. Like, there's no hesitation. There's no waffling back and forth. Should we do this? Should we do? Well, what do you think? It just seems like it's all right. Boom. That's what we're gonna do. And I trust and believe when I say, watching Clint Kubiak and the way that he operates, he does not look to me like a first-time head coach. He looks like a guy who's been there, done that, and is ready to help get this organization where it needs to be. It feels like everything is very genuine, intentional, planned out, thought out. Process is processing, and it's not processing like Joel Embiid in Philadelphia with the 76ers, where that was like AOL dial-up. Matter of fact, some would say that's still processing. This seems like something that's boom, 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 it's going. And you could tell that this is going to just get better and better as it goes along. And that's not me trying to gas anyone up. That's not me trying to get you overhyped. That's not – because I don't know how many games they're going to win this year. I don't. I have no clue. I have no clue if the wide receivers are going to be good enough. I don't. It's been something that the national people, the smarter people than me, have said aren't going to be good enough. We'll wait and see. And if they are, okay, then that's a great, pleasant surprise. If not, all right, well, then you know what you got to go get. But, again, it just seems like that even makes sense. It makes more sense to me to see what a team has and see what I have. We talk about it all the time when it's going to the grocery store. What do I have? What do I have in my cupboard? What do I have in my fridge? What do I have at the crib before I go to the store? I say it all the time. When I used to go do grocery shopping, I'm a list guy. And I'm a stick to the list guy. Now, there might be a one-off thing here or there that I might just happen to slide into the basket when nobody's looking. But for the most part, I'm a list guy. What's on my list is what I'm going to go get. And so I can see the Raiders navigating through this season and you seeing some really good play and then seeing some areas that need improvement. And then Clint Kubiak and John Spytek sit down at the end of the year and say, all right, let's put our list together. What do you need from the wide receiver aisle? All right, I need this. What do you need from the offensive line aisle? All right, I need this. What do you need from the defensive line aisle? All right, I need that. You know what I mean? Like just putting it together. What do you have here that, you feel great about that you could build off of? What do you have here that can graduate and move on and you'll be all right with? Okay, cool. I can see that being the way that they're going to go, and I think it's going to make sense. It just, to me, seems like things make sense. And I know you can't put the cart before the horse. I know you can't fast forward and get to week 5 or week 6 of the regular season, and who wants to do that because that means you're that much closer to the season being over. But, man, I just want Raider Nation to see the success that I feel like that this team is going to have. And it's, like I said, it's not necessarily just a one-year thing. It's a built-up thing. I was talking to someone in the Raiders organization today while I was watching practice, and they just kind of said, "Well, let's just hope that this is the right combination." And I looked at him. I said, "No BS. I really feel like it is. Like no, I have no reason to gas you up. You're here in the organization. I'm not. But it just feels like this is the right combination." So to me, this whole thing of the way that they've gone about this offseason, from the minute that they fired Pete Carroll, and that's not a shot at him, but the minute that they fired him and decided this is the direction that we're going to go, has been a fun ride. And we're only in August, but it's been a really fun ride. Just seeing how everything's been put together. And every day when I leave the facility, it really feels like, hey, that was a positive building block for one reason or the other. Either the offense looked really good, the defense looked really good, even on a day like yesterday where the energy was a little low. To me, it still felt like there was some positive things that were going on. There was teaching moments. And then you see them come back today and have all the energy in the world and put those pads back on and get after it. One of the storylines that we don't talk about very often, I know a lot of people on the outside have talked about, Ashton Jeanty having a big season, but I think him really proving his worth this year is a hell of a storyline. I think he's going to be incredible. And then now he's got a running buddy with Mike Washington Jr. who can compliment him. That's a storyline. I think Ashton's you're going to see some things in the run game and passing game. He's definitely not going to be limited, that's for sure. So 702-365-9200. We got Sam Warren from The Athletic coming up in less than 10 minutes. He'll give you all the updates on everything that he saw, what stood out to him from practice today, and what he's seen just in the first eight practices, what he likes and what needs to continue to improve. What storyline has you the most excited about this team building process that you've seen or you heard so far? 702-365-9200. Mark from Prosper, Texas said, Q, love the show. The storylines that excite me the most is the depth the team is creating at every position and the coaching. When's the last time we said that? When's the last time we said the Raiders had depth? Seriously, when's the last time we said that? I know I haven't said it in a long time, but they're trying to build it. To your point, coaching, I can go on and on about the coaching. The fact that they're teaching and coaching, it's different. There were some drills that I was watching earlier, some tackling drills, and I think it was Isaiah pulled him out, did it, and all of a sudden you heard the coach say, no, do it again. Hold on, do it again. Do it, come back. And then stopped him and said, hey, this is why. And then he did it. All right, good. Did it the second time. Good. Those are the moments. You're not just sliding through because, all right, we're trying to get through this drill. It's like the attention to detail is there with every rep. And it's an efficient practice as well. Went a little bit longer today than it's gone throughout the course of training camp so far. But you can see all the work that they're getting done. Really good work. Let's see this one, and then we'll take a break. Cucamonga Raider, what up, Q? Long time since I messaged in on my way back from training camp today. Great experience. Thanks to my brother, Raider David. Anyhow, great seeing you from a distance. I didn't get an opportunity to say what's up. Any word on what went down with Maxx and Cousins? I miss how it started, but it woke a lot of people up. LOL, take care, Cucamonga Raider. Yeah, it was just, Maxx was being Maxx, right? Maxx is full of energy. Maxx is that guy that, you have to say, hey, big fella, let's rein it in a little bit. You never have to push Maxx, which is exactly what you want. You want a guy that you never have to push. And, he always is going to get close to the quarterback as possible. He's going to do, what he can because that's what that's who he is. And every once in a while he'll put his hands up to try to get the ball or try to knock the ball out. And he might hit the quarterback. Might hit the quarterback's arm. Might hit, And so after getting hit a couple times, and it wasn't like a hit, like a sack or anything. It was just, his hand hitting, Cousins' arm or hitting him in his upper body. Cousins had enough. Cousins told him about himself, right? But again, that's the competitive spirit that you want to see. Now, you don't want to see, anyone, as Clint Kubiak said after practice, you don't want to see anyone throw punches, nothing like that, because that'll get you kicked out the game. Also, when, they have dust-ups like that and folks come off the bench to try to break it up, then you're wasting time on reps as well, which I know Clint Kubiak doesn't like that either. But, yeah, again, training camp. Training camp happened. That's what it was. Not a whole lot. Not nothing to, get overworked up about, but intensity by two alphas, two leaders. Kirk Cousins riding for his guys, and Maxx Crosby is always going to ride for his. Thanks for that text. I do appreciate you. 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team building process? What would it be in your mind? Let us know on the text line, 702-365-9200. Sam Warren from The Athletic will join us on this Aloha Friday. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
Yeah, it's grown tremendously. I just feel like we get closer and closer every single day together. We hang out a lot. When you have a relationship like that off the field, it's pretty easy to have a great relationship on the field with somebody like that. So we want the best for each other. We both want to be successful. We both want each other to be successful. At the end of the day, we want to win. So it's not about who has what catches, who has what this and that. We want to win. We're out there communicating with each other every single day, just trying to get better.
You're listening to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
That's Big Mike right there talking about his relationship with Brock Bowers. Obviously, they play the same position. We haven't seen them, really complement each other as much as we thought we were going to see them complement each other once Brock Bowers was drafted. And we know that Big Mike, Michael Mayer, was drafted before him. And then the very next year, Brock Bowers comes in, and, he's been all as advertised, and Big Mike is still trying to catch up out at practice, even though he's got a busted-up nose and black eye to prove it. But he's out there looking like he's getting better and better and feeling comfortable and fits in with this Clint Kubiak-led offense. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. The reason why he asked or answered that question is because he was asked that question by our next guest, that's Sam Warren from The Athletic. Sam, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. What did you think about the response that Michael Mayer had to your question about the relationship on and off the field with Brock Bowers and how these two guys could really work together well in this Clint Kubiak offense?
Yeah, the first thing is that it's healthy competition and it's amicable competition. I think both of them, as Mayer said, they have a good relationship off the field. They're friends. Their families are friends. So they're really, they're friendly, and there's no, ill will as they jockey for position. And Brock has taken over Michael's position since he got here. But yeah, diving into the second part of that, I think being friendly on the field and pushing each other to be the best that they can be is really helping. And we're seeing a lot of that out of Michael in this new offense. We've seen him make some plays and really develop into the receiver so far that we maybe thought he could be when he came out of Notre Dame. So I think it's a big year for Michael, both in the fact that he's going into a contract year, as well as just this Clint Kubiak offense should be able to unlock more of his potential than offenses in past. So I think it's a big year for him to contribute and put a good year forward.
You know, every conversation about the Raiders right now is about Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins. When's Fernando going to get in there and be the starting quarterback for this team moving forward? But, I mean, since you've been around this team, what has been, I guess, the most fun watching this team-building process so far for you? Like, what has really caught your eye the most?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think has caught my eye the most was – you know, the Raiders obviously have a vision for what they wanted to do this offseason, bring in a lot of high-character guys, bring in a lot of these guys that can really be kind of foundational pieces for their rebuild. But then, obviously, all that kind of gets thrown up in the air when Maxx Crosby comes back. So it's been fun to see Maxx kind of gelling into this new group, all these new faces and all these guys that they expect to be kind of the future pieces of this team, and see how Maxx has been able to compete against those guys. It's really been impressive to see what he's been able to do back on the field and really kind of wreak some havoc. So we've seen him put together some really solid practices so far, and it doesn't seem like anything has really been holding him back.
No, not at all. Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And speaking of Maxx Crosby, him and Kirk Cousins got into it towards the end of practice.
Yeah.
You know, you asked Clint Kubiak about it, and he said that that's training camp. But what did you see when you saw those two alphas, and especially Kirk Cousins, standing up to Maxx Crosby and saying, hey, that ain't going to fly here?
Yeah, I think it's about time, to be honest. Like, we're 8 days into practices now? And it seems like everything had been pretty, you know, there had been a lot of passion, but I think, you know, there hadn't been a whole ton of animosity from either side. And by the time you get to this point in training camp, I think that stuff kind of starts to bubble over. So seeing how, you know, Maxx has the motor that he has, and the motor that he has is what pushes him to be one of the best pass rushers in the league. But sometimes, you know, when you're going up against your own teammates, that can maybe rub a little rough with offense. So I think Kirk was maybe standing up for some other stuff that was going on, just Maxx being physical throughout practices and things like that. And it's good to see. I think Michael Mayer had a quote about it, about, you know, you want your starting quarterback to stand up for your team. And, you know, Kirk obviously did that by going up into Max's face after that play. So it's great to see a lot of passion, a lot of energy from those two leaders of this team. And I just think it was about time that things got feisty, and they're getting close to playing some other guys. So, yeah, it was good to see the passion kind of boil over and really get to see that in training camp.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, man, as soon as you see these guys really starting to get after each other, that's when you know it's time for them to start going up against someone else. And of course, we'll see that coming up next week when they take on the Cardinals. But we saw a lot of competition today as well. We've seen JPJ and Caleb Rogers switching out ones and twos. What do you think about that competition along the offensive line?
Yeah, so I think both you and me were watching the receivers and the defensive backs go one-on-ones, but from what I've heard in the videos I saw, it seems like JPJ was holding his own in the offensive line one-on-ones today. He seemed like he looked impressive. And, yeah, I think it's healthy competition, right? Like JPJ has been moved a bunch of different places to start his NFL career. And it's nice that he has a home right now at right guard. That's where the Raiders want to play him. That's where Rick Dennison and Clint Kubiak want to play him. But you've got a young guy in Caleb Rogers who's also impressed them as well. So I think that's only healthy competition. I think Jackson, as he said yesterday, has a lot more confidence and feels a little bit more at ease with this coaching staff and what Rick Dennison is bringing to that room. But, yeah, I think as pretty much every coach and every player has said about these position battles, like having another guy competing against you can only make you better. So I think they're excited about the prospects and how that continues to play out.
What did you see from the defensive backs going up against the wide receivers, like you said, in the one-on-ones that we were really locked in on? What did you see today? How did you feel that those guys did?
Yeah, so the first thing, I think on the outside, Eric Stokes really impressed me. I think his cover skills really stood out today. I forget who he was going. It might have been Trey Tucker, but he was like in lockstep with him on an out going into the end zone. So I think he's looked really solid so far in camp. Really can kind of be that CB1 that he's proved he could start to be last year. I think Hezekiah Masses continues to make plays. I think Traden Stukes, after not really getting that many opportunities with the ones, started to impress me a little bit more in his one-on-one opportunities today. So going up against a tight end or a slot receiver, I think he looked a little bit better. And then also, if you want to lump in the tight ends, Brock Bowers continues to look dominant. So that's the sky is blue with that. But yeah, I think Stokes was a guy that really stood out to me, and Masses continues to make plays and get more opportunities because of it.
Brock Bowers is incredible, Sam. It doesn't look like anyone who's out there, I don't care who it is. Eric Stokes has looked great, right? But even when he's going up against Brock Bowers, it's like nobody could stop him. As long as he stays healthy, how big of a year do you think Brock Bowers could be in line for, especially in this offense?
Yes, I mean, I think this offense could, live and die by Brock Bowers. If he's not healthy, I think this offense could struggle because he's clearly the piece that's going to make this thing go. But yeah, I think on top of just Bowers fitting into the system and the reliance on him, I think the way that he's playing with these quarterbacks is also very impressive. Like you talked about, Brock being able to win against most of these DBs and really make his mark in those one-on-one drills and in team theories and stuff. But, we've also seen, I think, personally, I've seen Jeremy Chin have some pretty solid coverage against him, but then you see Kirk Cousins throw the ball into the exact right place where only Brock Bowers can catch it, which I think that just speaks to the chemistry that they're developing. It speaks to Kirk's, veteran experience in controlling this offense. So having a guy who's building chemistry with a tight end like that, with a target like that, even in the off chance that he does get covered, you have a quarterback that knows exactly where he wants to throw the ball, where his receiver is going to get the ball, and a defensive back can't make the play. So I think that's a big thing for Brock as well, having a quarterback that kind of knows him and is developing chemistry with him.
Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We've been singing the praises of Malik Benson, the 6th-round pick out of Oregon, and we saw him running with the ones today. A lot of that I feel like has to do with Jalen Naylor not being out there. But going into the season, how much can or should we be able to expect from a rookie like Malik Benson, knowing that this is a 6th-round, he's still a 6th-round pick, right? So something had to make him drop to the 6th round.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be interested. I think the biggest thing for me with Benson is that he looks comfortable in the system, and he's looked comfortable with his chemistry with Fernando Mendoza. It seems like those two guys really get each other well. It's building confidence that way and having a dependable target that you're relying on. I think the big thing for me is what happens when Benson goes up against a team and a competition that he's not familiar with. So I think these preseason games are going to be really telling about what he's going to be able to do in this offense, what he's going to be able to do for this team. Like if he goes out there and continues to pop off and make these big plays that we've seen him make, I think, you can expect a little bit more from him. But if he goes in there, maybe things don't look as smooth as they do, kind of going up against these twos and working with those depth units in Mendoza. Maybe we need to hold back on the horses a little bit and take into the account that he is a 6th-round pick and there is, some developing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Warren, The Athletic, was with us here. RaiderNation Radio 920. We'll close out with this. Earlier in the show, I said it doesn't seem like Clint Kubiak, by the way that he talks when he meets with us at the podium or the way he just operates practice, doesn't seem like he's a first-time head coach to me. What is your opinion of what you've seen from head coach Clint Kubiak throughout the course of this, obviously offseason and now training camp?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he seems like a veteran to me. If I had no prior knowledge about, just walking into this team blind, I wouldn't think it was his first training camp. Everything seems pretty smooth. Everything seems pretty organized. And he carries himself with kind of just this quiet confidence. when he's up there at the podium, he doesn't seem frazzled or anything like that. Doesn't seem frazzled on the field. It doesn't seem like anything in practice is very disjointed. So he's bringing organization and order to this Raider team that, has lacked it in recent years and in, kind of its history. So I think they're really excited about what he's been able to do, kind of the system that he's been able to employ. And, hopefully for them, it breeds success.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, because there's been too many turnstiles as far as the, coaching staffs, the everything, front office staffs, and they need to have some consistency moving forward with this team. Well, really good stuff as always. I know I'll see you out there tomorrow, but what are you working on, my man, that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I'll be working on some bigger stuff as we get into the preseason, and maybe the fans will get to see the action on the field a little bit more and won't have to rely on our practice reports. So I'm looking forward to getting into some bigger things, previewing this team, as well as just being out of camp and taking in all the new stuff that's going on with this Raiders team. So really excited for these next few weeks and getting really going in training camp in the preseason.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be bright and early again tomorrow, my man. So hydrate up, get ready. I'll see you out at the facility, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There you go. Sam Warren from The Athletic with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And, looking forward to seeing him and everyone else out there tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30. And it's been great. I love the fact that they've been having these super early practices and being able to be out there on the grass. And, it's just a better environment as far as I'm concerned. The energy is better than when they're in the indoor facility. So as long as they can be on the outside on the grass, do it. I am here for it, and obviously I'm here for practice each and every day. I also want to hear from you as we close out hour number one, just like that, 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? Let me know your thoughts. Again, 702-365-9200. We hear from you next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Well, the system is easier for the quarterbacks because the run game is inherently built into it, and teams have to defend the run. So there's a lot of things you can do off of that do not involve the quarterback dropping back in a drop-back pass situation and having to throw when the defense knows you're going to throw. That's the hardest thing to do, and this offense shields you from that. So I do think it lets you put the defense in some conflict and lets you have some good looks.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Mike Sando right there talking about Clint Kubiak's heavy run game, how it makes things easier on the quarterbacks. I do believe this system is really going to help this team. I just think they'll have an offensive identity, something that they've lacked for some years now, and be able to sustain the drives, which will help the defense stay fresh and obviously put some points up on the board as well. Clint Kubiak, he's already been shown and proved that he knows how to operate an offense. Now, obviously, he's taken over as the head coach of this team, but that heavy emphasis that he'll have on the offense, I think, is really going to pay dividends for this team. It is Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. We got Cynthia Frelund from the NFL Network and Number Game on YouTube. She'll join us at the top of the hour. She was at the Hall of Fame game last night in Canton, Ohio. I'm sure she's still in Canton, Ohio, as the Hall of Fame festivities will be going on all weekend long. So we get everything caught up with Cynthia at the top of the hour. But we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200 on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? Again, let us know your thoughts, 702-365-9200. Let's go out to L.A., talk to our guy, Raider Big C, on this Aloha Friday. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? That's right, attaboy. Aloha!
Oh, Q, it's been a while since I've been able to call in and say it over the radio, but it feels so good to say it again on a Friday.
Yes, sir.
Again, it's the popularity of the show. I can't even get in sometimes. The text messages, the calls, man, you and I are just killing it. But man, I love the question. You know what? The way I see it is like I go back to what I've been saying since whenever coach comes in, is I want to see the storyline of how to react in the fourth quarter. I've said it, years past. The fourth quarter is where you can tell how a team is going to perform. Mm-hmm. Either you're in the lead, you're behind, or, things are going south. And with Kubiak and this we mentality, that's a storyline that we all need to focus more. Because in the past, it'll be more of like, a.k.a. Devontae Adams, I need to get out of here. Or someone else, I don't want to be here. What am I doing here? So that we mentality will come a long way in the end. And I really want recorder, how they respond. But Ari doing an amazing job. This is Raider Big C from Raiders.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's a promo. Raider Big C in L.A. Really good call, my man. And yeah, I mean, obviously once they get to the season and see when they start to hit adversity and how the team reacts, I just feel like this team is going to be prepared. You know, does that mean that they're going to win every time that adversity hits? No, of course not. That'd be foolish. But, you know, as long as they're prepared, as long as they react, as long as they are all stay together. And, you know, Michael Mayer referenced that earlier today as well when I asked him about swimming in the right direction. He said, yeah, we are all swimming in the right direction, and the key is making sure that we always continue to swim in the right direction. Like, he took it another step further, which I could appreciate, right? He said that without me, you know, referencing it, just that we've got to make sure that as much as we're swimming in the right direction right now, which we are, we have to maintain that. Right? You can't all of a sudden start to tail off and go in your own direction if things don't go right or things don't go your way or you don't see it, you know, happening how you envision it happening. All of a sudden you can't decide you're going to pick up a new agenda. That's going to be the biggest key is staying together through thick and thin, the goods and the bads. And sometimes it's even hard to stay together during good because you might start feeling yourself and think that you're the reason why the good. And then all of a sudden you think that your S don't stink, and you've just gone from the outhouse to the penthouse, and you've got to be able to stay humble and stay rowing and going and swimming in the same direction. Hour number 2 is on the way. Cynthia Frelund joins us next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Game on the line. King, he's going to step up. Pumps, runs, goal line. Is he in? Yes! Carolina wins! King's king! King of the night!
Look at him.
Whole team's out there mobbing him.
It's party time in Canton, Ohio.
That's so cool.
Love it. Great night. Great night in Canton.
That is just a terrific start to season 107 of the National Football League.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And that's how the Hall of Fame game ended on last night. 33-30 was the final score of the Panthers over the Cardinals. Obviously, the wins and losses don't matter in the preseason, especially the Hall of Fame game, but very entertaining and a lot of points scored. Haynes King, undrafted free agent out of Georgia Tech, is the one who has that touchdown at the end for the Carolina Panthers. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Join us now on the phone lines to talk about all the events going on in Canton, Ohio is our good friend Cynthia Frelund from the NFL Network and, of course, Number Game on YouTube. And, Cynthia, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate you. How much fun was that Hall of Fame game for you to be there and observe what happened and how it all played out?
Well, listen, I feel like we've seen a lot of bad football in Hall of Fame games, but that last night was maybe the most exciting game we've seen that I can remember. So I think what they did was a good job of pairing up kind of the levels against each other. Like, you didn't have Bryce Young starting against the third stringers for the Cardinals. It was kind of even versus even for pretty much the whole game. So it was a fun game and fun play calling, and we got to see a 2-minute drill. We got to see a lot of I don't know. It was a compelling game.
What do you think Haynes King did for his stock? I mean, again, he's an undrafted free agent. Do you think he's got maybe the Panthers thinking about a backup quarterback role? What do you think that Hall of Fame game did for him?
I think that it really put him – listen, there aren't 32 starters in the league. We talk about this all the time. Mm-hmm. I think it put him in strong contention, maybe in Carolina, maybe elsewhere. But I think that it really gave some film of, hey, this is an athletic guy who can do some things with his feet. He's got a lot of in the tank and a lot of upside. So I think it maybe in Carolina, maybe elsewhere, but – I know they have Kenny Pickett and they have obviously Bryce Young, but, there are places that are going to need a quarterback, and God forbid anyone gets hurt. It's a guy who at least would be a great roster, consideration, if not practice squad guy.
Yeah, I would think so. I think there's a role for him somewhere on some team in the National Football League. On the other side of things, Carson Beck, he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Cardinals. He was just about flawless, 15 for 19, 188 yards and a touchdown, a couple deep shots he hit. What did you think about his performance as he got the start last night?
He looked great. I mean, I know I was higher on him in the draft process than other draft pundits. Mm-hmm. I thought he got drafted in a nice spot in the 3rd round. I'm not saying he's anywhere near the guy that's, out there in Las Vegas. I'm just saying I liked his stuff. I do know that, one of his years in Georgia, they're like, well, he had all pro, blah, 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 this just absolutely great situation to be in. But he has nice timing. He executed what was asked of him. It looked sharp and crisp. And I don't know what else you want to ask for him. I think he's going to be the starter at some point this season, whether or not, they have the world's hardest schedule. That is a bananas schedule, especially for a fourth-place team. So it's probably not going to look great, but he checks a lot of the boxes that you want to see him checking. And you know what? Maybe the comp could be like maybe not this total upside because Dak Prescott's like way up there, but, it has feelings of there could be something here if they get him the right situation to operate in.
Yeah, it seems like he has a real role. Like, I'm talking about Haynes King having a role, but it seems like Carson Beck has a real role in this league where he, like you said, could be a starter sooner rather than later, especially if they don't, see everything that they want to see from Jacoby Brissett. Why not pass the sticks on and see what they have in Carson Beck, and then they can really go into next offseason realizing what they have to get somehow, some way.
When you're paying Jacoby Brissett, I think it's something like sub $16 million. Then you're buying an option. That's like, not to say that's nothing because I would love to get paid that kind of money.
Right.
But for a football quarterback, starting quarterback in the National Football League, that is very, very, thrifty. They're being thrifty. So I think they're giving themselves options. Obviously, I don't think they think they're Super Bowl contenders this year, but they're trying to get on a track that would put them towards success. And I think starting with if they can get a lot of use out of Carson Beck and he can be a part of their solution, then I think they would be really happy with that.
Cynthia Frelund from the NFL Network and Numbers Game on YouTube is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Now, you're in Canton, Ohio. Obviously, the Hall of Fame ceremony, everything's going on this weekend, which is fantastic. Is there a player that's going in? Breeze, Craig, Fitzgerald, Kuechly, Vinatieri. Is there one of those guys in particular that you're really excited to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, I went to college with Luke Kuechly, so
nice.
Not to age myself, but he's a really nice person, and it's really cool to see someone succeed. So I have known him for a long time, but Larry Fitzgerald is perhaps the owner of the stat that I love the most for any player in the National Football League ever, and that's that he has 41 tackles over his career and just 29 drops, which just tells you everything you need to know about a guy who ranks number 2 in total receiving yards, number 2 in touchdowns. He obviously helped my coworker Kurt Warner win a Super Bowl. I just think, watching him was one of the more fun things that I can remember, and I can't wait to hear his dad, who's a sports writer, give this speech because, obviously Drew Brees will have Sean Payton. That will be incredible, but I don't know, I feel like football is about family and about coaches and it's just going to be cool to see.
Fitzgerald was fantastic, and that stat that you mentioned, the tackles as opposed to drops. That guy was just incredible. I'm excited to see him go in as well. I'll tell you what, Roger Craig, he was Christian McCaffrey way before Christian McCaffrey. He was Bijan Robinson way before Bijan Robinson. What about Roger Craig? Seems like it's taken so long for him to get there, but he's finally there.
I think part of it is the way that the voting happens and the senior committee versus the 50 for the modern era committee and blah, 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 committee. I think it's a matter of they wanted more people in now that they pared it down. And then some of the, I think he is an unfortunate byproduct of how the voting is done, which yes or no, say what you will. It just kind of is the way it is for certain. That's why it takes certain players a long time. You have to get 80% of the committee in the modern era to vote on it, and that's the players who are between 5 and 24 years retired. Anyone over that, then it goes in a different. It's whatever. Point is he's in. It's fine. We're all going to be okay.
Right, no doubt. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network. Numbers Game on YouTube is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920. Speaking of Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, the guy that you know really well, they're in Detroit, obviously. Even Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis, they all got paid. Is it a resurgence now of the running back market? Are they back now that they're starting to get paid?
I think that these multiple use guys are back. Yeah. I think it was. I love a good moment of slight pettiness and the fact that Bijan got like what, $750K more, like $500K more guaranteed. Like, I just think it's funny. And Jonathan Taylor's been like, hello, what about me? Anyways, I think these multiple use guys they can justify these type of salaries. I think the wide receiver market is a little bloated, so part of this would be taking a little bit of a chunk out of a hefty, because like wide receiver threes were getting paid something more than many starting running backs. So it's a matter of like positional scarcity. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I think that just reflects the way that now if you're able to be used that many times, volume over everything.
What do you think about Jahmyr Gibbs now that he doesn't have Knuckles with him? It's only Sonic, right? It's no David Montgomery. How does Jahmyr Gibbs take that ball and literally run with it and do everything, all the heavy lifting, without David Montgomery to spell him every once in a while?
He says, Isaiah Pacheco, you're the new, whichever one is which. Or they find a new duo to be, right? I think, not to say that David Montgomery is replaceable, because I really like him, and I think he makes things in Houston way different, like Super Bowl way different. But I think that what the Lions need was probably to have another body there to help out and to focus on their O-line. So I think that, it may be David Montgomery light, but it's still enough to kind of get them past what they need, scheme-wise, to be able to execute what, I guess, Drew Petzing now wants to do.
What did you think about Stephon Diggs and him agreeing to a deal worth up to $12 million with the Washington Commanders and be that guy, that security blanket for Jaden Daniels?
I think it could be a good deal. I thought it was really weird that Stephon Diggs is like, I'm going to be the best wide receiver number 2 in the league.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, good for you. But it just was weird, because usually you never hear, especially wide receivers. I feel like wide receivers and defensive backs always I'm the best. No one's doing that, blah, 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 So I actually think he could be the best number 2 wide receiver in the league, but Devontae Adams might have something to say about that. But ultimately, I think it's a good move. It just feels like, yet again, the Commanders are kind of duct taping a team together around Jaden Daniels with a bunch of players that weren't necessarily their franchise's first picks. So, I don't feel confident about this team overall, but it could go either. It feels very volatile. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up 4th in their division. I don't know if maybe the Giants, I don't know. We'll have to see about that. But I don't think it's going to be a Super Bowl year for them, is, I guess, where I'm going with that.
No, it doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. I think that Dan Quinn really needs to have some success this year, right? I mean, they did not do well last year. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with injuries, but I feel like that they really need to bounce back in a division that I feel like is open, right? I mean, who has the upper hand, in your opinion, in the NFC East?
I hate to say it, because it is official. Summer is Cowboys month. Yeah. But if the Eagles don't figure out whatever this weirdness coming out of the Eagles happens to be, I think the Cowboys, with their better, more favorable schedule, slightly easier schedule, could take over the crown. And remember, the NFC East was the division that we used to have that stat that, like, since I was in high school, they hadn't had the same same winner year over year, and that was when the Eagles were good. So we'll have to see. But to me, I think the Cowboys could actually make some noise.
Yeah, I think so, too. I keep saying that, but then obviously last year when it came to the Cowboys, they couldn't stop me, you, and Ari from scoring. So if their defense can play well, then they have an opportunity. I think their offense is going to be great, and I think George Pickens in another contract year is really going to ball out. But Cynthia, for me, when it comes to the Cowboys, it's all about that defense.
I just think they need to be better enough. I don't think they need to be, like, top 10 in the league, right? If they could be in the middle, then they're going to be okay. And I think that's because Dak was playing, like, insane football for much of last season. Yep. And even without CeeDee Lamb, it was looking, like, crazy good. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, okay, as long as they're gooder enough, I'm great at English, then we're going to see the Cowboys win some more games.
That's a word right out of my my vocabulary, right out of my playbook. Gooder enough. Right. I'm good with that. Look, sign me up for that one, Cynthia. I use that every single day. No problems there. Well, we'll close out and we'll come back home with the Raiders. And I said earlier in the show, and I want to get your opinion on it, Clint Kubiak, I know he's a first-time head coach, but he just doesn't seem to sound like one, doesn't seem to operate like one. And I'm not 100% sure, is it because of his pops or whatever, but to me, he doesn't seem like this is his first time as a head coach. What are your thoughts when you see and hear what Clint Kubiak has to say and the way he's operating?
I mean, I feel like I'm totally with you. You forget he's a first-year head coach, and it's kind of a cool situation to be in for him from the standpoint of, like, you know, it didn't go well last year, so an improvement, a middling improvement looks a lot better. It's not like you're coming off, you know, it's going to be hard for Mike McCarthy stepping in after Mike Tomlin was there for so many years and being such a legendary coach, right? It's just hard. But I think that Clint Kubiak finds himself in a position where if you actually can right the culture ship, it will pay huge dividends.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm telling you, it just seems like he's in a really good place and this team is in a good place. What does that mean when it comes to wins? Well, that's on them, but it does seem like it's a process that's going and trending in the right direction. Well, Cynthia, great stuff as always. Enjoy Canton, Ohio. What else have you got going on that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, Numbers Game is back. We're starting with some fantasy football stuff. And then I have a really cool thing that I've partnered with Donors Choose, which is a nonprofit in the education space. And if you go make a donation on Donors Choose, they will tell me and I will pick your fantasy football lineup for you. So the order of drafting for your fantasy football teams. And who doesn't like helping kids out with back to school stuff?
Exactly. Hey, we're going to make that happen so you can pick Ari's team. I don't do fantasy football, but Ari needs all the help that he can get. So he's going to have to get you to pick his team. If that works for you, we'll make that happen.
Perfect.
Right.
I love it. I'm happy to.
Tell us what the website is one more time.
It's donorschoose.org, and then it'll be up soon. You can get it on my Twitter, but It'll be /Frelund, and then they'll do a little form and send it to me, and you can pick your donation there.
Boom. There it is. We got you covered. We will make sure to make that happen. You know, we always partner with you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing. Great stuff as always. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, you do the same. Cynthia Frelund right there, NFL Network Numbers Game on YouTube, and now she's going to be picking Ari's fantasy football team. How about that?
Pretty good.
Now, what if you win? Now, what happens if you win?
What do you mean? Like, am I going to be like, oh, I picked the team very much myself, I didn't get any help, or you just?
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to play that off?
Well,
are you going to act like you did it on your own, or what?
I mean, and you're going to hate this, but I'm learning. This is a learning process, and everything about fantasy is actually for me like to just continue learning about football and getting better at it. So what I might do if this is really happening is do like 2 different leagues or 2 different teams, one with her and one with myself, just so I could still go through the motions of picking, and all the studying and stuff I've done up to this point will actually be worth something. I will say last year I had a big situation where Burrow came off waivers, and I asked Cynthia and got her advice. And she actually, I forget, I think it was either Baker or Burrow, and I asked her which I should do, and whoever it was I went with, and I ended up winning that week, so there you go.
You won that week, but what did you do in the league?
I made it to the second to last round, like right before the finals, semifinals. I guess call that.
All right. Well, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. Somehow, some way, we're going to make that happen.
I trust her.
I do too. I don't trust you.
Right,
I trust her.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll make that happen for sure. And plus they'll help out with a nice donation, helping kids. And I know her mom's a teacher as well. So spent many years teaching. So definitely with this type of year when it comes to going back to school and all that good stuff, we definitely have no problem helping out with that cause right there. Many thanks to Cynthia Frelund for her time this afternoon. Don't forget Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show. She'll join us coming up at 4 o'clock and talk about the question that we threw out there and then more. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? Let us know your thoughts. I know Ari's got winning on the way, but 702-365-9200. We do want to hear from you. You could also hit us up on Twitter, and I want to say, yes, Marin Raider hit us up on Twitter and said, Q, for me, the storyline I like the most is the competency and alignment of ownership, GM, coach. Not sure we've seen this dynamic in recent memory. Foundational to long-term success, in my opinion. That's from our guy, Marin Raider. And, yeah, that's one of the biggest keys to me as well. And maybe I shouldn't be so shocked and surprised that they're all on the same page, top to bottom, but I am, for one reason or the other. And so maybe it's to the point of Marin Raider saying, I haven't seen this dynamic in recent memory. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why it looks and sounds so refreshing. But I'm telling you, every day I go out there, and I know it's only been 8 practices now, but every day I go out there, it's almost refreshing. Like, people always say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And how's things going? I'm like, they're going great. You see where I'm at? You see what I'm doing? You see what we're doing? We're out here watching these guys practice and get better every day. Well, isn't it hot out here? Who cares? Right? That heat don't mean nothing. I mean, yeah, it's hot. That's why there's water, right? And there's shade if you need it. But it's like you're seeing this process build, and obviously it's going to take them making it happen when they get onto the field in games that matter. But I mean, you're getting a behind the scenes look at how they plan on going about this and what they're doing to get better each and every day. And when you watch them practice, and anyone who's been out there understands what I'm talking about, when you see them practice, it just looks like they're getting better. It just looks like there are certain things that they're working on. Now, we don't know. I've said it before. We don't know what the game plan is when they're inside the building before they hit the grass. There could be certain things that they're working on. So sometimes when we come back and say, oh, the defense won today or the offense won today, they might have known the defense was going to win before they ever hit the grass. They literally could say, hey, this is what we're going to work on, coaches. We're going to work on this. I want you to test Hezekiah Masses all day long. Or I want you to do this all day long. I want to make sure that this area is being addressed. Right? That's stuff that we're not privy to. But with that being said, you can still see quality play. I think the biggest question I have so far with this team is just at the wide receiver position. Is there a guy that's going to emerge and prove to be a difference maker in that room? I believe that's the only question I have right now. I feel good about the quarterback play, both Cousins and Mendoza, and hell, Aiden O'Connell as well. Right? If he had to come in and play a couple games, I would feel good about him. The offensive line, I feel really good that it's going to be better than what it was. I mean, hell, you can't get worse, but I do think it's going to get better. I like the linebacking room. I know that it's only Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, and there's still other questions, but, I mean, those two guys are difference makers. I believe the secondary is going to be a lot better. The biggest question I have is the wide receivers, and especially a guy like Malik Benson. I like him a lot. We talk about him quite a bit. He's caught attention. It's funny. I was looking up during the break. I was looking up where Dane Brugler had him listed in the Beast. I still have that draft guide sitting here in Studio Q, and I was looking where he had him, and he had him as listed as a 4th or 5th round pick, and he lasted till the 6th round. So it's just I like to sometimes just kind of cross-reference. But if he is all of a sudden running with the ones like he was today, and again, I believe that's because Jalen Naylor wasn't there, is he going to be able to, play really well against other people who aren't the Raiders? Is he going to end up being a really good wide receiver and, a lot of people just didn't see it? And it's possible. It's not like we haven't heard this story before. I mean, go back and if you don't remember, go back and look where Puka Nacua was drafted. That was round 5. He's the best wide receiver in the league, right? I mean, before he had issues, I mean, go back and look when Antonio Brown was drafted. Go look at there's plenty of other guys that have had success that are not first-round picks that have had plenty of success at the wide receiver position. Sometimes you just slip through the cracks. Sometimes, there's a trait or two that you might not have or a skill set that might not separate you. So, I mean, can he be that guy? That's my biggest question right now. And the other question I have, and we'll find out sooner rather than later once we start seeing games as well, is the coverage in the secondary unit. It looks really sticky. It looks really good. Hezekiah Massis, just like Malik Benson, we talk a lot about him. He looks the part. Now, does he look the part because he is the part, or does he look the part because the wide receivers aren't getting separation? Right? And it could be a combination of the two. I mean, again, let's just be honest about the situation. I remember coming back from training camp in 2024 in Costa Mesa thinking that, hey, the Raiders got a top 10 defense. They ain't letting the offense do nothing. Offense is suffocated out there. They can't do anything. Well, come to find out, the offense wasn't good. And so as much as the defense had a chance to be good, they were better because the offense wasn't worth its salt, right? So you have to wait until you see him against someone else before you really start to pass judgment on how good these guys are or how good these guys aren't. 702-365-9200. Let's go out to Denver and talk to our guy Glenn. Big Glenn, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha Q, how you doing today, my friend?
I am fantastic. It's Aloha Friday, man. You can't go wrong.
You got that right, buddy. Hey, so I've got two things, and they both kind of fall in the same category. What I'm most excited about is the coaching staff. And for the last, as long as I can remember, we've had good players. And right now, I'm about as psyched about the players as I've ever been. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you start thinking about what we've done with the players that we've had in the past. And for the longest time, we've got these good coaches or the coaches that look good on paper. And they're trying to get these players to adapt to their system. It's like with McDaniels and then with Chip. I want to see what these guys can do with adapting to the players themselves rather than vice versa.
Right.
I want to see what Robbie Leonard can do with a hell of a defense, how he puts these guys together, what they do, how they put all the backs and the backfield together. I want to see what they can do with the offense. You can have the best players in the league, but if you kind of crap the bed with them, it really doesn't make a difference to it, you know? You're only as good as a coaching system. So I'm really excited to see what we have and what they're putting on the field. And the second thing is kind of going back to the same line of questioning as the coaching. How do they adjust? You know, how many games have we watched to where we're good or bad in the first quarter or first half? We go in and all of a sudden we come out and we're flat and we cannot make anything up. We can't defend anything. So it goes back to what the coaches are able to do with the players that they have and how well they can make these guys, the Jack Beshes and Dante Thorntons and all these guys that we've had that we never even utilized. How well can they put these guys in a position to succeed? And that's my biggest takeaway, and that's what I'm really excited to see because I haven't really been this excited to see Raider football in a minute. So it goes back a long way, back to '79. So let's go, man. I want to see it.
There you go. I like it. Hey, really good stuff, man. Thanks so much for the call. Really good stuff. And, yeah, that's what it's all about, right? They got to put these players in position to succeed and showcase what they do really well, right? It's been so many years that we've talked about these coaches want these players to adapt to their system instead of making a system to fit the players. The players are the system, right? The players are the system. If you're a dude that's worth the salt, you put him in the right position. Right? I mean, that's just what it is. I can tell you right now, if Ari's working with you and producing is something he can do, let him produce. He's a hell of a producer. Don't turn him into a writer. Don't tell him to be a dispatcher, right? He might make some indecisions. He might take a little while. But he can produce the hell out of something, right? So go ahead and take advantage. So don't try to turn a guy who's a possession receiver into the guy that stretches the field. Or, you know what I mean? Like, don't put a guy in a position to be something that he's not. Like Richard Sherman always says, let a wheel be a wheel. Let the bumper be the bumper. Let the engine be the engine. You can't put these guys in position to do something that they don't do. If you're a man-to-man type corner, let them play man-to-man. Don't try to put them in zone or vice versa. Don't let the zone corner all of a sudden have to be married to man-to-man all the time. Put him in the best position to succeed. Really good call, Glenn. Definitely appreciate that. Keep that feedback coming, man. 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? We'll hear from you. But first, Ari's got some winning that he wants to go ahead and pass on.
I do. 4-pack of tickets to see the Aviators versus Sacramento Rivercats on August 15th at the LV Ballpark. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or give us a call right now, 702-365-9200. Must be a Nevada resident, and caller 9 gets the 4-pack of tickets.
There you go. Ari's going to take you to the ball game. We're going to hear from you as we do football right. We'll do that next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
going to take every single one of us. Obviously, it's all about the team. We want to win, and ultimately that's all that matters. So me doing my part and some is something I'm going to push for every single day. And you know, greatness is measured by how many people we inspire. So I want to bring as many guys with me and as many coaches and many people in general that I can, you know, raise their standard and way of thinking.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
That's a storyline right there. Maxx Crosby, right, wants to help him and the team be great. He wants to bring everybody with him. He's trying to, you know, take his leadership skills to the next level. Him and Kirk Cousins got into a little something. But, you know, there's been physicality in practice. There's been, you know, times where Max is going to go a little bit further, and that's what he said at the podium. I mean, he literally used me as an example. It kind of grabbed my arm, was like, hey, all these guys in the hallway are saying, hey, man, look, the guys with the red jerseys, stay away from them. This, you know, make sure you don't, you know, take our guys out. He just knows one speed, right? And of course, you don't want to go out there. You're not gonna hurt anyone on your own team. You don't want that to happen. But, you know, he literally practices like he plays, and we say that all the time. Practice like you play. Practice like you play. And then, you know, he does, and sometimes he'll take it a little further than it has to. And so Kirk Cousins told him about himself today, and that's, you know, that's okay. These type of things happen, and I enjoyed seeing the energy and the enthusiasm from both guys and the rest of the team as well. It is Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. As we do football right, we'll actually hear from Rich Eisen, who kind of changed his tune on all things Maxx Crosby, but we'll get to that after we hear from you. 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? Let's go out to Oregon. Oregon, talk to our guy, Charles. Charles in charge. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, aloha, Q and I. How you guys doing today, man?
Fantastic. How are you doing on this Aloha Friday?
I am blessed. I'm so excited to come out to Vegas this Sunday and check out the Raiders game and go to the training camp at Allegiant. That's going to be fun, man.
Oh, yes.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
So I'm going to use the word that I used before, which is synergy, when things all come together. And I think the Raiders, you know, it's so hard to pinpoint what the Raiders are doing well because they're doing a lot well, and they're making intelligent decisions. Over the years, it's been things to me like you need an owner who, you know, lets the GM and the coach do their job. Well, we're doing that. Mm-hmm. You need a GM and a scouting crew who don't reach in the draft for some player that nobody's heard of before. They don't get free agents that are way past their prime and give them way too much money. Well, we're doing that. Mm-hmm. We need a head coach that isn't, you know, looking towards the past or from the past or with a big ego, or a head coach that drives a 57 Chevy but's never been a head coach before. No, you got a guy who loves football and who has been accomplished recently, who doesn't have a big ego like a certain offensive coordinator from the New England Patriots. And, you know, so when you look at all these pieces, you put them together, building the trenches, you get a franchise quarterback. And you don't draft a guy that's just measurables who can throw the ball deep, but someone who's smart. You're drafting football players who love football and who are smart, like Trey Stoops. So when you go through the checklist of what an intelligent franchise does, unbelievably, I'm so excited that the Raiders are doing everything correctly by making intelligent decisions. It all works together. I see nothing but success in the near future. Now they're focused on the present, not looking towards the past, not throwing out a bunch of slogans, but they're all about the work, and that's what's going to matter. So that's my take on what I think is going to make the Raiders great soon.
There you go, man. Really good call. Really good call. Definitely look forward to seeing you as well. That's Charles in Oregon with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Unnecessary Roughness. As I mentioned, we'll be doing football right in a hot minute, but let's go ahead and hear from the Mac. The Mac from way back. Raider Mac, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's up, Q, man? You got to be the hardest working guy in show business, man. In sport. Hey, man, I love listening to all your ESPN stuff at nighttime. I mean, it's good, man. You doing your thing, man. I'm so proud of you and Ari. Hey, Q, Now, I don't want you to say anything because I'm not talking about you. But my biggest thing was the overall of the roster. Mm-hmm. You know, man, that was the biggest thing to me because last year on social media, we have this Raider Nation thing that we just go in and, just tell them what we feel. And I said the roster. People was like, oh, no, the roster was good last year. I'm like, come on, man, for real. And when we got to certain games, the roster wasn't good. So that's my biggest thing, man. I'm so proud that the roster, and the biggest thing to me is that center, Tyler Lindenberg. Man, I think that's the biggest thing, and a switch to the 3-4. You're going to see a difference. I mean, I played college football, and I'm telling you that 3-4 is really good when you got guys that can play like Maxx in there. And what I love too yesterday, with the fight with Kirk got some dog in him. Okay, he's starting to grow on me. He's starting to grow on me, man, and I like that. You want to see that. In the past, we didn't have that kind of. Everybody was, here and there, offense versus defense. But I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm hearing. It's just the rosters overall. Hey, Q, one thing I want to ask you. Everybody's rating the receiver room, man, and it's not looking good, they say. Mm-hmm. So you've been out there, you've seen, and I'll let you go on this, Q. What do you think we need to do to improve the receiver room? And I'll let you go on that, man. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Hey, you do the same, Raider Mac. Really good call on this Aloha Friday. And, yeah, that's my big question is the wide receiver room. I don't want to write anybody off yet because it's only August 7th, but I would like to see some guys start to emerge and start to really show what they're going to do. Like Jack Besh had a really nice catch today on one-on-ones. I want to see that consistently. Dante Thornton Jr. saw him leave practice early. Didn't see him on the field during team period, which is kind of par for the course, kind of consistent with what he does. Malik Benson's a 6th-round pick, so how much are you going to get out of him immediately is the question, right? I mean, Jalen Naylor, he wasn't out there today. Trey Tucker, he has been good for sure. The one, I think what frustrates him the most is when you put hands on him. When you put those paws on him and you get physical with them, then it's hard for the fast guy to get fast if you're putting hands on him. But if you miss, if you go to put hands on him and you miss, then you're in trouble. Because, it's like my barber will say, beat it, Toots. Like, you're out of there, right? That'll be the problem. But when you get, especially in a compacted space, I was standing there next to Mighty Mouse, Mark McClelland today, watching practice. And, he's always going to lock in on the DBs because he played the position. So I'm always in his ear. Like, hey, man, I got positions, right? I'm in Kirk Morrison's ear, defense in general. I'm in James Jones' ear when it comes to the offense. I'm in Mark McClelland's ear, EA's ear when it comes to the DBs. Like, I ain't no fool. Mama didn't raise no fool, right? I see the resources out there. It's up to me to go use them. So I'm out there in his ear, and I'm listening to what he's got to say. And that was one of his critiques of Trey. If you want to slow him down, especially in a smaller, compact area, you got to beat him up at the line of scrimmage. And when they were doing that, going through those drills today, you could see him get a little frustrated. And I got to give Eric Stokes a lot of credit, man. He lined up in off man coverage, right? So it was basically it was a man to man, but it wasn't press. It wasn't at the line of scrimmage. So he's off him a few steps. Obviously, you want to make sure that he's not going to run past you. He jams him before the 5 yards and then lets him go. Boom. And, man, he runs with them. The ball looks like it's going to be right in Trey's hands. And at the last second, Stokes, he sees Trey's hands go up, and boom, knocks the ball out. And it was such a perfect play. And you could see the frustration from Trey because he just thought that he had a catch. And then there was another moment where he got jammed up, in press coverage in the red zone. And wasn't able to get off of it the way that he'd like to. So there's a few little cracks in the armor, let's put it like that, in his game. And so I think the biggest question is going to be, what are the wide receivers looking like? How good are they going to be? How far can Brock Bowers take you? Because again, right now it looks like the Brock Bowers show. He's open all the time, 7-11 and then some. He's always open. But is he going to be healthy all year long? Especially with the volume that they're going to have to feed him, because again, right now you you don't see a wide receiver just stepping up saying, hey, I'm the guy. Don't worry, I'll be that big compliment that you need for Brock Bowers. And maybe he emerges sooner rather than later. We haven't even seen one preseason game yet, but that right now is where I'm at when it comes to the wide receivers. It's still wait and see, but I would like to see somebody step up and make that difference. We'll get to Scott. Let's go ahead and get to Scott right now. We'll go out to San Carlos and talk to our guy, Scott. Scott, welcome to the show on this Aloha Friday. How you feeling?
Hey, aloha, Q.
Yes, sir. Aloha.
Hope you're having a good one. So,
yes.
You can pretty much guess what the thing I'm the most excited about in terms of storyline from camp. But the way I was going to say it is the thing I'm curious about is all the talk about sort of lack of a number one. And, I'm just really curious if we'll find out a year from now or mid-season if that guy's already on the team. Mm-hmm. And I think you kind of, talked around that a little bit too. And even if it's not Benson, even if you go, and I know Besh, he's not really a prototypical, X, but I really think that it's going to be interesting to see how these guys shake out and if we've got, a diamond in the rough. Like you said, Antonio Brown, or I don't mean to sign these guys up to have that kind of career, but you know what I mean, right. where you're like, turns out we're good at wideout. That's not even going to be the problem. And then the second thing I would say, and I know that you're always very careful to be respectful to the former coaches, but I am so glad Britton Carroll is no longer on the team. Everything I've read about what that O-line went through last year, and kind of even like the reading between the lines of the few guys that have spoken out, I just think that we just don't even know what we have there either. I think, it'll take 3 or 4 games before we either say, okay, actually, OL is still a big challenge for us, and that's kind of where we need to look in the draft. Or, again, I don't want to be naive, but it'd be great if we're like, actually, it's not a problem. Like, we have the guys we need to build on.
Right.
So you got through the whole call and didn't even mention Benson's name. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. But hey, love the show, and, go Raiders. And, again, aloha, man. You have a good one.
Hey, you do the same. Great call, man. Great call. Thanks so much on this Aloha Friday. We appreciate you. And, yeah, look, Brendan Carroll, obviously that was not it. I don't even believe he has a job right now. Not that, he needs someone. I know he made plenty of money with the Raiders last year, but, it kind of tells you all that you need to know. And, I'm always willing to allow someone to get that opportunity, especially, if they've had plenty of history of being, a coach in the league and in college as well. And it just didn't translate with the Raiders. It just never translated. There was a lot that didn't translate with the Raiders. And, again, a lot of that has to do with a bunch of different agendas, a bunch of different swimming in different directions. It's just, it doesn't work. And this year, at the least, we know for a fact they're all headed and they're all rowing in the same direction. Thanks so much for the call. We do appreciate you. We'll take a quick break. We've got Amber Theoharis joining us at the top of the hour. We will come back. We will do football right. Rich Eisen talking Maxx Crosby next on RaiderNation Radio 920.
Yes, sir. Just like all the hard work I put in, and just knowing it's just starting to click a little bit more. Just working hard, and just know I can help this team. I talk a little bit off the field. I can say that, but just like it's just people I'm more comfortable with. But I think on the field I do change. Because just like how I play, I just like to stay calm, level-headed and go about things.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
That's a guy that's been hearing his name quite a bit, Tonka Hemingway. It's a guy that's rotating in and out with the ones, rotating in and out with Adam Butler in that defensive tackle position. He did really well towards the end of his rookie year, and I believe he's in line for, some really good burn, especially early on this season, because, again, I do believe the coaching staff, especially Robbie Leonard, knowing him very well from his time as a defensive line coach, now he's a defensive coordinator, he has a pretty good idea what to expect from one Tonka Hemingway. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We've got Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL, and Silver and Black Show joining us coming up at the top of the hour. But we do want to do football right.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
So how we're going to do football right, and I teased it already, there's a lot of conversation about Maxx Crosby this, Maxx Crosby that, and it has nothing to do with what happened with Kirk Cousins today, but it has to do with, is he going to be with the Raiders long term? And there's a lot of the national folks out there, from Greeny to Rich Eisen to plenty of others, that believe that, okay, he's going to end up on another team, maybe the Cowboys. Jerry Jones has been talking about going and getting some big impactful edge rusher, and many people have thought, yep, that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Maxx is going to get traded once again to another team, and a lot of folks, like I said, nationally have been very much on board with, yeah, that's going to happen, including Rich Eisen, except for now he's changing his tune. Here's a few minutes of what he had to say just the other day when it comes to why he doesn't think that anymore.
Hey, when Maxx comes back healthy, the question will be, does he still want out? Does he still want to be gone? And I'm been pounding the table talking about your Cowboys. This is the guy. Go get him. Right? Jerry, when he showed up in Oxnard for his training camp opening press conference, said, we're giving up. We'd be up for giving up futures. That's what he said, futures.
We worry about the future. Maca.
You want to win the present right now, you get Maxx Crosby, and you're like, welcome back to Texas, kid.
Yeah, is there some breaking news I don't know about, Rich?
No, I'm officially giving up on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
For the beginning of the season, though?
Back together again weekend happened, right?
Yep.
Is it back together again weekend, or it's back together weekend? It's back together.
It's back together weekend. Last weekend.
Back together weekend. And the training camp coverage on NFL Network. Outstanding. Omar Ruiz.
I was watching a bunch of it.
David Carr sitting there at Raiders camp. Maxx Crosby, shirtless but inked like crazy, talking about how he looks forward to seeing Fernando Mendoza become the man and also join him in the leadership front.
In this league, you need a great quarterback to win and compete, and Fernando's going to be that guy at some point, and I want to see him succeed. I want this organization to succeed. I'm a Raider to the core, and I want to win more than anything. So it's going to take all of us, not just myself. It's everyone. It's all three levels, you know what I mean? And you talk back to the Patriot days back then, they had Teddy Bruschi at linebacker, they had Rodney Harrison at safety, they had Richard Seymour up front, they had vets and dudes everywhere that led. So I don't want to just be the only guy talking all the time. It can't just be me. It's not basketball where Kobe grabbed the dudes and be like, no, this is what we're doing. There's 15 dudes on the team. You got 90 guys on the roster right now and 40 coaches, or how, I don't know if we have so many damn coaches. You know how it is. So, like, I need my point is intentionality, and that's like a big word for me this offseason. I've been intentional with all the things I'm doing, and I want to be intentional with everything. So that includes leadership. Fernando's a great kid. He's got all the talent in the world, and I want him to have all the success in the world and help lead that offensive side.
Yeah, he's not twitching in any direction other than just staying put and being intentional to stay put and be ready for the season. You know? So I think I'm going to give up on this one.
Don't.
Well, I know you want him in Dallas, but unless you're calling up and you're telling John Spytek, I'll give you the same 2-1s that the Ravens gave you. Oof. You hang up the phone, right? You see how it works. Certainly if he's the one who's like, I got traded because it wasn't working out here, I'm back, and I'm taking a leadership role, and I'm telling everybody else who's with me. You want to trade that guy away? Who, by the way, is one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. I don't want to trade that guy away. I want to win with him.
So there's Rich Eisen. Just a few minutes of what he had to say just the other day on the Rich Eisen show on ESPN about Maxx Crosby and how he's given up. You heard him. He's given up on the thoughts of trading him away to go try to win somewhere else. You keep him right where he's at with the silver and black and win there. Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL and Silver and Black Show, joins us next, kicking off hour number 3 of the show. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
He's just continuing to get better. He's improving. Every day brings a new challenge. Crowd noise today. So there's new things that he's learning every day. And, again, he's working hard. He's like every other rookie. They are introduced to a whole new level of football. and there's going to be days of failure and days of success. And as long as they can keep getting better, that's what we're looking for. Quarterback has to be the leader of the team, and I see him leading out there. That's what we brought him here for, to lead and play really good football. So I've been pleased with him, and he knows that he can get better.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
Here we go, kicking off hour number 3 of the show. It is RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. We come into the sounds of Clint Kubiak. Talk about the quarterback room, Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, one of the big storylines with the team. We threw the question out there. What storyline has excited you the most about this team's building process? And we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200 phone line and text line. We got Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show coming up in a hot minute or so. Sean hit us up and said, Q, Burford sounds a lot more confident than JPJ. And also, I would like to point out, from everything I hear, you need athletic offensive linemen when you run the zone blocking scheme. It seems he's exactly what we need in that. It's refreshing that we went out and got him and didn't just do what past staffs did and tell everyone we like our guys and not to try and improve. Also, from what I heard, Fernando was balling today, wasn't he? God bless and go Raiders. It's Sean and the 916. And, yeah, I thought Fernando did well. I don't think Fernando's had too many days he hasn't done well, right? I mean, he's done good. You know, there's times where he'll throw a pass and it gets broken up, but at the same time, that's good defense. I don't think that that's bad quarterback play. There's a couple times where, you know, he's looked like a rookie at times, but the good thing about Fernando that I mean, I think it's the highest compliment, he doesn't make that same mistake twice. He can make a mistake, but he learns from it, and that's all you want to ask in training camp times. So, yeah, he's doing fine. Does that mean that he's going to start week 1 against the Dolphins? No, but he's doing fine. Right, and we'll see. You know, Vinny Bonsignore was very, as a matter of fact, today with Clint Kubiak asking him, you know, even to the point, you know, hey, are you married to the idea that Kirk Cousins has to start week 1, or is there a chance that Fernando could? And he said, I'm not married to anything. No idea on the football field. I ain't married to nobody's going to be playing, right? Everyone's got to go earn their spot, and that's exactly how it should be. So to that point of the quarterback play, I think that there's a lot of good going on. And then when you look at the offensive line, you're talking about the athletic guys. You do need to have those guys. And that's why when Burford was signed, I remember we went out and we reached out to some folks that cover the 49ers just to get a little bit of background on him. And they said, look, he's going to push. I remember like it was yesterday. He's going to push some guys for a starting job. And I know a lot of people hit us up and was like, oh, my God, he stinks. He's terrible. He's not good. And I'm like, look, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what the guy said to us. He said he's going to push these guys and make them earn a job. So Spencer Burford very easily could end up being the starting left guard when it's all said and done. Or someone had to really work their ass off to get that job, because just like we were told when he was signed as a free agent, they're going to push him to try to earn, to earn that job. So, I mean, there's a lot to like about that. I think competition is great. If you don't have to earn that job, then what are you doing? That's how you get lazy and complacent. And I think the last thing that this staff wants is someone who's lazy and complacent anywhere involved with this team. 702-365-9200, really, really good text. Do appreciate that. Let's get one quick call. Ari, if Amber hits us up, make sure you let me know. We'll go out to New Jersey, talk to our guy, Money Mitch. Money Mitch, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's poppin'? Aloha, Ari. Great show. Love listening to you guys. Glad you're on.
Yeah, we got you. What you got, man? Your phone sounds a little jacked up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I can't be myself. I thought I put my little Jeremiah to sleep. I guess I'm losing my touch. And my little guy, the big little guy, wants me to put something together, which, good luck with that, right?
And that family show, man. It's a family show.
That Rich Eisen, it is a family show. Please don't have him on again. I'll never call him again. What a snoozer! Oh my God! I'll call for spite. How's that? I'll call for spite. You tell me what to do? Believe me, no. I'll keep busy. I'm looking forward to that quarterback play, especially when Fernando gets in there, the first Cuban Heisman winner. We got our run games looking good. We'll see about it with the wide receivers, but Kirk will show us the way, and then it'll be people, fans, the teammates will be, want to see Fernando, because I think he'll show up. He'll do well in the preseason, so that will get it going. The clock is ticking. You have a nice weekend, Q.
You too.
I hope that was quick enough.
There you go. It was. Ari's giving me the signal right now. Really good job, Money Mitch. Thanks so much for the call on this Aloha Friday brought to you by Zippies. We do appreciate you. Joining now, as promised, Amber Theoharis, SiriusXM NFL Silver and Black Show. And I know, Amber, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. I know you're super busy running around the Raiders facility. Thanks so much for giving us a little bit of time. And I'll start off with the question that I started out with Raider Nation as the show started, right? What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? What would you say, Amber? We've talked about it being different before, but this really, truly feels different, and there's multiple storylines to talk about. Kind of what comes to your mind when you think about this process?
I think it's a little different from the years past. This is my 5th year with the Raiders, where, we put what we think out into the public, but maybe we don't always keep our instinct 100 with everybody because we want to be positive. But I think we've watched other coaching staffs come in here, other GMs, and you don't feel like you have a lot of faith watching the moves, or you're seeing the pieces they put together or the coaching staff they put together, and you're just kind of like, oh, gosh, I hope it works out. This is a little different this year where you feel like Clint Kubiak, based on what you've seen, what the players are telling you off the record, you start to get an idea that things seem pretty legit. And I haven't felt like that in a couple years here. It feels like Clint Kubiak is the right guy. The players enjoy the way that he runs practice and runs training camp and runs the off-season program. Kirk Cousins just came on SiriusXM radio and said, I've been to a lot of different camps, and he said that he reached out to Coach Kubiak earlier this offseason and really said, this is the most effective and efficient and productive camp that I have been in, or off-season program. So the players are respecting the actual process, and they like the way that Coach Kubiak has set up the offseason and now training camp. And then James Jones just came off the field, my colleague with the Silver and Black Productions, yesterday. And they noticed, I know practice went a little bit later today and will tomorrow as well, but earlier in the week, they were getting out in about an hour and a half. And in this heat, James said that's how you earn the team's respect, the players' respect, is that you trusted them to be productive and get their work done as efficiently as possible and to get them out of here. And in return, they're going to work hard in that shorter amount of time rather than a coach that keeps them out there for several, 3 hours and it's dragging on and it doesn't feel very productive. So I think what I've enjoyed is actually watching real efficiency in what they're trying to do. And I think that is going to lead in the right direction. And to be honest, the biggest joy I've had is getting to know some of the new players. I mean, talking to Quay Walker and we just had Nakobe Dean and Kwity Paye. I think those dogs on defense are going to be huge for the Raiders. I'm excited about this defense. We'll just see how the secondary emerges.
Yeah, I'm as well. That's part of the process that I've been enjoying, is just seeing how it's all put together. And when you have guys like Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean that have that familiarity with each other and, just kind of know how big time of players they could be, it gives you hope that this is really trending in the right direction. But with that being said, Amber, it feels like the players believe that they all have an opportunity. Some, obviously have been brought in free agency, like Nakobe Dean, like Quay Walker, but then even some young guys, they all feel like, from what they're saying at the podium or even in press conference or to the side, it seems like that they all believe they have a chance to contribute. All they got to do is go out there and earn it.
Yeah, I think they're looking to the guys to the right and left and actually say, wait a minute, okay, we got something here. Mm-hmm. And that's what's getting them excited. Nakobe Dean came over in free agency. He had a choice, right? Yeah. And he was excited about what was going on, and what he specifically said what John Spytek was doing, caught his attention. And so, they got to go out there and do it. But I do, look, any situation that we're in, it doesn't matter what our listeners here, what situation they work in, right? If they're doctors and they go into a surgical team, they know if they are going in with a team that's some of the best in the world, right? They know ones that they're like, maybe I have to pick this other one up a little bit. They lack in this skill. Well, I think these guys are starting to look around and be like, okay, we're going to battle with guys that I think I believe in, that I kind of respect their game and am excited about. So I think that's a little bit different mentality that I'm talking about, where it's like you had a feeling, and these guys had feelings in the years past that they didn't really want to say, like, man, I don't know if we're going to be good enough in our secondary, or man, I don't know if we have a number one receiver. They're not going to say that. I think now they're complimenting each other and pointing out things that each other are doing, and it's a genuine, like, oh man, I got a dog next to me, let's go.
Right.
And that's a different feeling for the Raiders this year.
Absolutely. Amber Theoharis is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. It's funny you mentioned James Jones. I was talking to him yesterday as well, and he had mentioned Hezekiah Masses, the 5th-round pick out of Cal, and he said that he's patient. He doesn't get over-anxious, right? He allows the wide receiver to get to him, and that's a huge step, right, in being a successful corner. How impressive is that, saying that this is a 5th-round pick? This is just a rookie that is already catching the eye of a guy who played the wide receiver position at a very high level in James Jones.
Well, yeah, like James knows exactly what to look for, right? He knows exactly those little things that a wide receiver can take advantage of. And he did bring up Hezekiah Massis as well on our shows. I actually brought him up to, Rob Leonard, the defensive coordinator, just kind of, going over. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what he said about him, but it was clear that he felt that he was a confident player for his age and experience level, and that the Raiders have a confidence in him as well. So I think that is something that you have to earn when you come to training camp, and he's already earned that. And with Hezekiah, I think the question is, okay, there's a confidence, but sometimes you don't want that to become overconfident, especially defensive backs. They can get cocky really quick, right? It's like the Deion effect. Yeah, it's like the Deion Sanders effect. That you can get cocky real quick, and then you can gamble and make some mistakes early on, because I think it was James that told the story on our Silver and Black training camp show. He said, you go out here in training camp and sometimes you get high on yourself. He said, I went out there and I was running routes and I was like, damn, showing them something out of San Jose State, 3rd-round pick. I'm showing what's up. And he goes, all of a sudden Charles Woodson picked me off. And you realize that you can't make, these grown men that have been here, you're going up against future Hall of Famers.
Right.
So whether Hezekiah Massis gets a starting opportunity or wins that job, or gets a lot of opportunities to play, he's going to have those moments where it doesn't matter how talented he is, how confident he is, he doesn't have the experience, and you're going to have a Jalen Waddle or whoever else in this division humble you really quick. And I think that's what the Raiders and defensive coordinator Rob Leonard are trying to protect him from and build him up for.
Right, exactly. And adversity is going to hit. There's no doubt about that. You hit that on the head. Again, Amber Theoharis is with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920. You mentioned talking to Kirk Cousins, and him and Maxx got into a little bit of a dust-up, right? He showed a little bit of intensity. Maxx is always going to show intensity. What does that do for the locker room when these guys see that 38-year-old quarterback going at the baddest man in the land, and Maxx Crosby like, hey, man, you're not going to push me around in practice?
Yeah, I mean, look, Kirk Cousins is no pushover, right? Like this nice guy, and then the goofy chain act. Like, he's a tough dude, right? So don't be mistaken by that. You don't last as long as you have. Make the money he has, had the production he's had, without being a tough dude. And just because he's nice doesn't mean he can't go up against Maxx Crosby. And I talked to both of them about it. I actually talked to Clint Kubiak about it too. And Kubiak, he wasn't happy. He was like, because that time that we have to spend dealing with that, we're not being productive.
Right.
So we need to get back to the line of scrimmage. We need to get another snap off. He said it's the same rules as the game. If somebody's throwing punches, you're coming out of practice as well.
Right.
So he wasn't happy about it. He didn't love the chippiness. I know we do, and it's kind of cliche to say, oh, it gets everybody fired up. But Clint Kubiak kind of pushed that down really quick. Now, Maxx said he came in today and felt, as he described it, like, he's like, it's the dog days right now. It's starting to get to the dog days, and you kind of feel like you're tired, you're sore. And he's like, my job as a leader is to get us all back up, and that includes myself. And he's like, and then, he's like, I do it. I go to a dark place and I come out with that dog, and I did that today to push myself. When he said he came in not feeling, he kind of like, I don't want to practice, or whatever you feel like on these days. And he's like, I was kind of in one of those dark places where I was like going to that dark side that we love. Yeah. And he's like, and I pushed through, and, I should probably, he's like, I did hit the quarterback, probably shouldn't have done that. And Kirk Cousins said, look, Maxx, I don't like him hitting my arm.
Right.
Like, you don't hit my arm. Right? This is my moneymaker, basically. And so that was kind of what it was. And Maxx, I think Maxx said sometimes I overdo it a little bit. Sometimes, I go over the line a little bit, but he's like, I practice the way I play. and that's what makes Max special. So you can't blame him, and you can't blame Kirk for being like, bro, you can't touch my arm in practice. Like,
right.
Come on. But Kirk did speak about how much it helps him to go against the Maxx Crosby, because he does, like, he threw 2 picks today, for example.
Yeah.
Hezekiah Mathis and Greedy Vance picked him off. So he said he'll go, like, in the lunchroom and be like, what did you see? You know, what rules were broken? Like, all of, you know, like, what did you see? So he can learn what not to do. He says he does the same thing with Maxx Crosby, but he's like, sometimes in my mind, I have to say, okay, are we not being effective in this play, or is it just that we're simply going against Maxx Crosby? And Maxx Crosby, it doesn't matter if you run the best play in the world, he's going to get you. So it kind of keeps Kirk sharp as well. So there's a mutual respect. Today was just Max being Max and Kirk standing up for himself, and that's really what it comes down to.
And that's how it is sometimes. And I'm glad that Max said what he said about practice, because yesterday I thought practice was a little not really energized. I thought the energy was down a little bit. They weren't in pads. Today I thought it was a lot more intense. And, you know, we'll close out with this. And I'm glad you brought up the point of, you know, are we being effective, or is that just Max being Max? Because I've seen, especially today, I saw the defensive backs, the secondary, the linebackers. I thought they did really well defensively, came up with some interceptions. Jeremy Chin, Hezekiah Mathis, Greedy Vance, all these guys came up with the ball. Is that more the defense is really clicking, or was that the offense struggling, or was that a combination of the two? How do you read a situation like that?
I think people try to generalize it in training camp, and I don't read it like that. I read it as the offense is trying new things, and at any time they could get picked off, right? So the defense can get the better of them at any time, and I don't read that as Kirk Cousins is throwing picks, or you know, Fernando Mendoza is throwing picks. They're literally, it's trying something new sometimes, right? Let's see how this works. And like I said, I was talking to Kirk. I was talking to Rob Leonard today. You know, Rob Leonard came off. You saw it as the defense had a great day, right? They're picking off Kirk Cousins. Rob Leonard came off like frustrated, like, man, we got to figure out. And he was breaking down to me a couple things they need to figure out, right? So he's seeing it as, we didn't have a good day.
Right.
We messed up a lot. So in the media, we're like, oh, we tend to go with in one direction and shape the narrative, where really it is play to play of who has the best of who. Yeah. And that depends on who is installed, and whether, you know, they're trying to play a cover 2, or they're, you know, lining up with, I guess you could call it 13 personnel with a fullback. You know, they're all trying new stuff. So that any play could go wrong for either side. One's not further ahead than the other, in my opinion.
No, I like that. It's a great breakdown right there. And it's always, you know, that's one of those things that goes through my mind is, okay, is the defense ahead? Is the offense ahead? Who won the day, or who won the rep? Because we don't know what they're working on. You know, we don't know. We just see what we see out there. So that's why we go to you. The professor, you're always giving us a lesson, always teaching us a lesson. And that's why we go to you. Amber Theoharis with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Well, Amber, as always, you know, it's great catching up with you on the practice field, on the radio, or just whenever we see each other. Always do appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Always fun. Thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Amber Theoharis right there, always dropping knowledge on us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. And, I mean, again, we've reiterated that point a few times. You know, it can look one way to us, but as you heard her say about Robbie Leonard, you know, he's looking at the defense like they didn't do what they were supposed to do, even though to me, from my point of view, they did some really good things today. But clearly, you know, there was other things that they were working on that they did not get accomplished that they want to do better moving forward. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We will flush that performance coming up in about 10 minutes or so here on the show. And trust and believe, we got a good one for you today. One I'm excited about, but I'm also excited about hearing from you at 702-365-9200 on this Aloha Friday. Got some really good feedback. Matter of fact, I saw one from my guy, Just Win Will, I wanted to get to. It was kind of lengthy, so I didn't get a chance to get to it earlier. Here it is. Aloha Q, Aloha Ari, Aloha Nation. Q, I got to push back a bit on the we have depth talk, respectfully. We don't know who the starters are yet. I don't think we have depth at any position other than defensive back, defensive line, tight end, and quarterback rooms. The other rooms are an injury away from exposing that lack of depth. I don't want to be a downer, but we got to be real with our fan brains. LOL. On to the question. What excites me is the thought or idea of what that back 7 on defense is going to look like from down to down. Thanks, fam, as always. Aloha Raiders. That's from Just Win Will. I saw that text a little earlier, and I wanted to make sure to get to it, but as you can tell, it's a little lengthier and didn't have enough time. We got a call early in the show about being excited about having depth on the team, or maybe it was a text about having depth on the team. It was one of the two, and the fact that the depth is growing. And that's the thing. They're trying to build, and that's why I remember specifically saying, yeah, no, that's what they're working on doing. They're definitely working on the team having depth. But to your point, when, hey, we don't know who the starters are going to be, that's a good point. When I look at the offensive line, though, for example, like, we don't know who the starters are going to be there, but you do know that there's quality parts there. Let's put it like that. The talent is there as far as I'm concerned. Now, I could be proven to be wrong, but when I look at offensive line and you've got Spencer Burford and you've got Trey Zune that you just drafted and you have JPJ and you have Caleb Rogers and you have Charles Grant and you have DJ Glaze and you have Tyler Linderbaum and you have Colton Miller, like, I think that you're in a pretty good position, right? I mean, that offensive line, everyone's not going to be a starter, obviously, but I do feel like you feel pretty good with those guys that you have in the room. And I know Trey Zune's a rookie, and it's dangerous to put him in that you feel good about him, but he's got so much burn in the SEC. He's got so many games under his belt. I feel good about that. The defensive line room, right? You pointed them out on the text about there being depth there. Obviously, the defensive backs, there's plenty of depth there. Tight end, quarterback rooms, we don't even know how many quarterbacks they're going to hold on to. But, outside of the questions that we have at the wide receiver, there is talent on this team, and there is talent that I believe will show their worth sooner rather than later. But again, who's going to separate themselves? So I totally understand where you're coming from. Totally understand where the texter earlier was talking about depth on the team, because that's obviously the ultimate goal, is to have that depth. But there was times, I mean, look last year, and Raider Matt called earlier and was talking about the roster. He even called last year, what was it, before the Washington game, and was talking about the roster and the talent, and it wasn't very good. And I thought that, hey, there's some pretty good talent on this team. I like what they got cooking. And then only to find out that it really wasn't as good as I even thought it was. Like, I made the mistake of thinking that it was better and more talented than it really was. It was a roster that had talent, but it was a much older, talented roster. So, you were dependent on the guys that were on the other end of their career to step up and make big plays. Where now you're dependent on Quay Walker, young dude, Nakobe Dean, young dude, right? The draft class that has a bunch of young dudes but talent, you're expecting them to stand up and make plays. Tyler Linderbaum, you're expecting him to be a guy. He's a young dude. You got Speedy Naylor, young dude. Like, all these guys they brought in, they didn't bring in the free agents, and Charles in Oregon called in and said this earlier. They didn't bring in the free agents that were just looking for that one more payday. They didn't do that. They brought in guys that are expected to be difference makers now. And, oh, by the way, they signed them to 3-year deals. So if they're 25, they still have another opportunity to get another check. So they're still hungry. They're still working really hard, and they want to be a part of the building process. But, again, to your point, they do have to separate and show their worth and where they're going to end up on the depth chart and in the pecking order, and that's how you build the depth, right? You got to be able to have a guy, if a guy goes down to injury or a guy leaves a free agency, feel confident about the guy behind him, and that's what John Spytek and company are trying to build, right? Is it there yet? Of course not, but that's what the attempt is. That's what the goal is. So we'll see, what they do. But that was a text we saw from Just Win Will that I wanted to make sure that we got to. Let's see. Rob in Oakland hit us up. The biggest storyline for me is that the organization self-reflected and executed the hard reset we needed. It's not a small thing to trade the face of the franchise as a part of moving into the future, but they did it. I see clarity of thought, honesty, humility, and resolve in the executives to look in the mirror and then make the difficult decisions required to turn the franchise around. I'm hopeful it manifests on the field. That is Rob in Oakland. Really good text. And, they were willing to make the move to trade Maxx, as tough as it is to do that, because we know how talented he is. The fact that they weren't willing to do it for anything less than the 2 first rounds, that also shows me something. They weren't just going to give them away, right? We talked about that so many times on the show leading up to it. Like, they're not just going to give them away. If someone's going to get them, they're going to have to come to the table with something. Like, really come to the table with something. Show how much they really want them. And that's what Baltimore ultimately did. They came to the table with the 2 first, and the Raiders said, okay, we'll make that happen. And then Baltimore was like, wait, hold on, what are we doing? We done lost everybody. We need those first-round picks. No, let's go and get Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, we'll do that. his price tag is dropping. So, we all know how that played out. But the Raiders were only willing to move Maxx at the price that they see fit because they know what kind of impact player he could be. So, they've done the rebuild. They've got the coaching staff that's all on the same page. And as I've said many times, they're all currently rowing in the same direction. Let's go out to Denver real quick, talk to our guy, Raider Dave. Raider Dave, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, I haven't been able to listen all day. I've been working in this world we call radio. What is it with the dust-up that ended up happening? Because I honestly can't believe that wasn't pre-orchestrated. I mean, it had to have been. As you may or may not be surprised, I did not get one DM from Coach Kubiak or Martin Davis about having a job out there at camp building a quarterback mannequin for Maxx to go ahead and blow up. But he's obviously frustrated to the point that maybe here's another idea. We'll give him a 6-inch fun noodle to put in his right hand, and he can smack the quarterback with it. How's that? Nobody will get hurt over that, won't they? And Maxx will feel good about it.
Yeah, I don't think that's how Maxx is going to get down.
We used to do that as coaches with our youth quarterbacks because our offensive tackles were better than our defensive ends. Otherwise, the quarterback could get no pressure. But nice. I don't know, man. I think this thing was a little bit orchestrated by the QB and the DE after yesterday's kind of not so great practice.
Yeah, I think it was more of the fact that Maxx hit his arm a couple times, and I think it's just Maxx kind of being Maxx, and Kirk Cousins also showing that he's got a little something in his neck as well, like he's just not that pushover.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
thank goodness for that, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, here's on to better things. They practicing over the weekend?
Yes, practice tomorrow morning, 7:30.
All right, man. Live and local. You get to it. We'll see you.
All right, my man. Appreciate you. Raider Dave in Denver. Thanks so much for the call. Yeah, and like I said, I don't think that was orchestrated, but I do think I don't want to say sent a message, but it was kind of an understanding. Like, hey, these guys are definitely going to get after it and defend what they need to defend, and Kirk Cousins is going to show why he's been a 15-year vet, and he definitely does not want his arm to get hit by Maxx, and so that was his response. And it didn't last very long. I think that Clint Kubiak, if anything, was probably mad because they wasted some time where they could have been getting some football reps in. Instead, they were breaking up the little dust up that they had in camp. But that is the biggest headline. That is what everyone's talking about. I've seen it everywhere. Everyone's writing about it, and to me, it feels like it's way more overblown than what I thought. But I mean, there's that. All right, what do you think?
I was just thinking about, a couple weeks ago, didn't Jamar Chase and another player get into it, and it was like a quick thing? That's just practice, and nothing was said. And this does kind of, to me, it does feel like we don't have much negative things to say about the Raiders right now. So, here's some drama we can. That's what it feels like with all these random tweets I'm seeing and.
Yeah, it's just training camp. I think Clint Kubiak said it perfectly. It's just training camp, and if anything, he just doesn't want anyone swinging at anybody. And from my vantage point, Kirk Cousins grabbed Crosby's jersey, and it just kind of got into his face. So to me, it's not a big deal. To be honest, I mean, Jonah Laulu, he got into it earlier. I thought that was more than really the Crosby situation, but Crosby and Kirk Cousins are obviously two bigger names than Jonah Laulu and Caleb Rogers, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So it just, to me, it was training camp. Training camp happens, and training camp is going to continue to happen as far as I'm concerned. Thanks so much for the call. Do appreciate you. Keep that feedback coming at 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team building process? We'll get to you. Plus, we'll flush that performance, brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing and moonlightplumbing.vegas. You got to check them out, but we'll flush that performance. We'll do it next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown. Wow. Oracle play. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now. Unbelievable drive. Unbelievable touchdown pass. Unbelievable reception.
It's time to flush it on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
Still one of the best plays from college football season last year. Fernando Mendoza to Omar Cooper. That touchdown versus Penn State, back of the end zone. There's no way that ball is going to get through. There's no way he's going to make that catch until he actually did make that catch and that ball got through. It was pretty incredible, and obviously Indiana wins that game. They go undefeated all season long. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy, and Indiana goes and wins the national championship. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. We'll get back to your calls and texts at 702-365-9200. What storyline has excited you the most about this team-building process? Let us know your thoughts on that. We do have, real quick, the word of the day, Ari. Go ahead and do that for the summer of fun. You can take the trip or take the cash. The cash is $3,000. What would be the word of the day?
Word is hiking, Hiking.
There it is, Hiking, hiking. You have till 5 o'clock to get that word in. Text it over to 702-365-9200. Now, let's get into some serious business. Moonlight Plumbing, moonlightplumbing.vegas. We do appreciate them. They are the reason why we get to flush performances around here, and we appreciate that because we have a lot of fun with it from sun up till moonlight. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals. Been serving Las Vegas since 2016, and they mean business. No problem is too big or too small for Moonlight. Their services range from residential leaky faucet repair, water heater replacement, commercial plumbing system installs, and full remodels. If you want to give them a call, you can at 702-355-3938. But as I tell you all the time, the best way to learn about them, get together with them, moonlightplumbing.vegas. Again, moonlightplumbing.vegas. Today's flushing of the performance comes from the college ranks. And really, when you think about it, it's got to come from college football, but not the actual games, because the season hasn't started yet, as you know. But it feels like games are being played for sure. And what do you mean by that, Q? Well, I'm glad you asked. Purdue's athletic department began a new era this week. Tommy McClelland, he was introduced as the school's new AD. He was previously the AD at Rice, has a previous stop at Meineke State and Louisiana Tech, as well as a stint as deputy AD at Vanderbilt. That's all on his resume. So he's well-traveled. He's not new to this. He's, what do they say, true to this, right? So he kind of knows what he's doing until he doesn't. He brings plenty of experience to his new gig, but he made quite an odd first impression at his introductory press conference on Thursday when he took a shot at Indiana, the in-state rival. Oh, by the way, national champions, when he said this.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Wait, what?
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Yeah, Tommy. New AD at Purdue decided to poke the bear, who, oh, by the way, is the defending national champions in Indiana. Tommy McClelland says if you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana, even though, yes, they are current champions and Purdue is not. The first part of the statement was great, right? Hey, we're here to win championships. That's good, right? Second half, not so good. And it would have landed a lot better if it was a few years ago and Indiana was bad. Instead, McClelland literally invoked a rival school coming off the most successful and most unexpected season in the history of college football. Like, if you had told me 2-3 years ago Indiana was going to be your national champion, they were going to go undefeated, and they were going to have this guy named Fernando Mendoza that transfers from Cal Berkeley to lead them to an undefeated season, be a Heisman, and end up being the number 1 overall pick on the team that I'm talking about here right now, I would have called you a liar. He decided to go after those cats, those 16-0 cats, and decide to say, if you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana. That is too much. Now, going into the collegiate sporting season, Purdue, they're in a good spot. Men's basketball coach, Matt Painter, he's got this team contending for titles in both the Big Ten and nationally, so that's a positive. But the school's football team, and we know how it is in college sports, right? You could be good at basketball. You could be good at baseball. Softball team could be great. Acrobatics and tumbling. All that could be fantastic. But what is the driving force behind every college? That would be the football team. The football team from Purdue hasn't won a conference game since 2023, when a 35-31 win over Indiana actually prompted the hiring or the firing of their head coach, Tom Allen, at the time, and the eventual hiring of who? Kirk Cignetti. So it all comes full circle. McClelland's comments were bizarre, given Indiana's recent championship success. And I guess he was trying to have his own Kirk Cignetti moment. Remember when Kirk Cignetti got hired? Why are you going to be successful? Google me. I'm a winner. So maybe he was trying to say that as well. And who knows, man. The Hoosiers coach made a splash before he ever coached a game at Indiana with the bold statements about his ability. And then he said Purdue sucks when he was introduced. It worked out for Cignetti. Maybe it's going to work out for McClelland too. But the reality is Purdue hasn't won an NCAA national championship in any sport since the women's golf team in 2010. It remains the school's only national championship this millennium. So there you go. There you go, Tommy McClelland. I mean, look, I get it, man. What if you want to beat the man, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Isn't that what they say? I get it, right? You go for the biggest, baddest dude in all the land, but that might not have been the fight that he wanted to pick. But he did. It's out there. He did say later on the Pat McAfee show, once he said it, he realized that, yeah, that's not going to land that well. So he kind of understood what he did the minute he said it. But once it's out, Ari, as you know, we do that here quite a bit on this fine program we call Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920. Once you say it, it's already out there. There ain't no pulling it back. So Tommy McClelland said, oh, forget it. I'm just going to roll with it. I know it's a mistake, but I'm just going to roll with it. But that flushing was brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Again, you can give them a call at 702-355-3938. You might not need them right now, but I guarantee you're going to need them at some point. You're going to need to get something flushed. And, of course, time and money, you don't want to flush that, right? You don't want that to be flushed, and they're going to make sure that they don't. Small but mighty, their veteran-owned and operated company handles jobs big and small. Leaky faucets, water heaters, commercial installs, grease interceptors. Military and first responder discounts are available as well. And, again, because of all things that can be flushed down the drain, time and money should not be two of them. Go to visit them at moonlightplumbing.vegas. That's moonlightplumbing.vegas.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
So back to what we've been talking about. And, again, shout out to Moonlight Plumbing for their sponsorship of our great flushing segment. And, yeah, Purdue's down bad. They're going to figure it out, though. They'll get things turned around sooner rather than later, Ari. Trust me. That's what they're sticking with.
With that guy? I don't know.
He's got the skins on the wall. He might be able to get it done. We'll see. We will see. But Greg in New Jersey, he's got a really good text that he fired at us at 702-365-9200. So, hey, Q, as always, the national media has to find something to take in direct shots at the Raiders. Like Ari said, Jamar Chase had a dust-up earlier last week. No big deal. Today it happens with Crosby, and it has to be exaggerated because, well, the national media wants to see him traded. I saw on Twitter Michael Silver tweeted his article from March about how Max is frustrated and that today was another example. Kind of ridiculous. Do you anticipate any additional ad at linebacker? That's one area where I'm still concerned from a health perspective that there's not enough depth. That's Greg in New Jersey. And, I'm sure Just Win Will's like, yep, talk to him, Greg. Talk to him, Greg. You're right, because Just Win Will's always talking about the linebackers and the lack of depth in that position. Obviously, the big upgrades with Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, but, Nakobe Dean's a guy that you got to make sure he stays healthy as well. I don't see any new additions coming that way anytime soon. And the reality of it is, who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in at this stage of the game that's out there available that you feel really good about? That you don't, that you would feel better with that guy as opposed to a Tommy Eichenberg or a Cody Lindenberg. You know what I mean? Like there's not that guy. Fred Warner's not out there waiting to be signed. Or, you know what I mean? It's not some stud linebacker that you feel really good about at this stage of the game that's out there and available. 99.9% of the guys that are really good have already been signed in free agency. So I don't really see them bringing in anybody right now. Now, if something happens in training camp or preseason, sure, all bets are off. But I don't see anything like that happening anytime soon. As far as, the national media, and, I already got a text from Sister Sledge, Tara Slajewski, who's my producer on ESPN Radio on game night, and she said, Q, you got to tell me about the Maxx Crosby, Kirk Cousins situation. So it has been blown up, but the good thing is I'll be on the show tonight, and I'll say, hey, not a big deal. Nothing to see here. Everybody just chill, relax. It's training camp. Training camp stuff happens. It just kind of is what it is. It's just the names are big. I mean, Jamar Chase, yeah, but Jamar Chase wasn't going after the quarterback, or the quarterback wasn't going after Jamar Chase. Like, remember when Cam Newton and Josh Gordon got into it? That was the year of Super Bowl 50. That was when Cam Newton was the MVP that year, and Josh Gordon was the baddest in the land when it came to the cornerback position. Remember they got into it in training camp, and Cam's helmet was off, and they were, like, going full all brawl? That made every headline. That was the biggest conversation because, again, it's not often that you see the quarterback in a situation. Then again, you don't really see Cam Newton, a quarterback the size of Cam Newton either, right, getting after it. But that was, I remember that one being a big one just because, again, the quarterback position and Cam was such a big dude. But they ended up having the best years of their career. I mean, think about that. Go back to Super Bowl 50 that year. How good was Carolina? Carolina was fantastic. There's a reason why they were in the Super Bowl. Their defense was on point. Josh Norman. I keep calling him Josh Gordon. Josh Norman. Josh Gordon was a damn wide receiver. Josh Norman was the defensive back. And he was really good. Remember, then they gave him the franchise tag, and then they rescinded it, and he ended up going to Washington, and he was just, all right. He never was that guy. His best year of his career, go back and look at it. His best year was the year that they went to the Super Bowl, and they lost to Denver. That's when Cam Newton made the business decision not to jump on the ball when he fumbled. And I remember asking Josh Norman at Media Day, as a matter of fact, the Super Bowl opening night. He was at the podium, and I said, is there anything that you could tie in with what you guys did in training camp when you guys got into that huge fight and everyone jumped into it? Cam Newton has no helmet on, but he got a big old smile. I mean, Google it. Just Google it, and you'll see the image. Cam Newton's got a big old smile on his face, just like he always did. And Josh Norman was on the bottom of the pile. But they both balled out that year. They had the greatest years of their career, and they never got back to that. And Carolina didn't either. They're still trying to recover. I mean, think about that. So, again, I don't know what's going to come from this. It wasn't that. I could tell you that from being there. But, maybe that little edge that Kirk Cousins showed and, Maxx Crosby always being Maxx Crosby, maybe that'll resonate with the team a little bit and get them a little bit more fired up. And maybe they could turn that into, some career years as well. Again, I don't know. I don't think it was too much of anything, but that Panther situation, that definitely that stands out in my head for sure. So thanks so much for that text. Definitely appreciate you. Keep that feedback coming, 702-365-9200. We'll close out the show, close out the week. Hearing from you next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Calm everything down, calm everything down, calm everything down. It's Aloha Friday. No need to get angry. No need to get fired up. Heading into the weekend the right way. Raiders will be back in practice tomorrow. It's a good thing. Excited about that. Excited about every single day. Leading up to next week when they have, obviously, the scrimmage at Allegiant Stadium on the 11th. That's Tuesday. And then their first preseason game coming up on Thursday versus the Cardinals. 13th, 20th, 27th. Cardinals, Texans, 49ers. Look forward to all those. Look forward to the way that this roster is constructed once they get down to cutting time. And, of course, the practice squad as well. And then they'll prepare for the first game of the season against the Miami Dolphins September 13th at Allegiant Stadium. Real quick, wanted to get a couple texts in before we wrap up today's show and wrap up the week. And thank you so much for all the contributions. Text line and phone lines. Without you, there is no show. Never forget that. Sir Whiskey Ray said, what's happening, Q and Ari, on this Aloha Friday? First of all, I'd like to give a happy birthday shout out to myself. I'm 49 today. Time flies by when you're busy and staying out of trouble. LOL. As for our Raiders, 6 days and counting to our first preseason game. I'll say it again. This upcoming season feels different from the years past. I'm really excited to see how our offensive line plays out in 2026. Above average offensive line production will lead to more points scored and controlling the clock. Thanks as always, gentlemen. I'm off to Reno in a few days and Vegas on Thursday. Hoping to see you when I'm in town. Cheers, Sir Whiskey Ray. There he goes, always living his best life. Not mad at that. And, yeah, that offensive line is a big storyline that we've been talking about for sure. So you definitely want to make sure that is intact. Bert says, shoot, missed the word of the day. It's hiking. Hiking. You got about 6 minutes to get that text in. Hiking is the word. And then next week it is Hawaii. The greatest place on earth. That's the trip. You take the trip or you take the cash. And, of course, we'll give you the word of the day every single day with the morning tailgate. But, man, you're going to want to win that one. I might just say Monday's word is going to be boat. I'm going to go ahead and give you a head start. Boat. Because when you're in Hawaii, you're going to get on a boat somehow, some way. Just saying. But Monday's word will be boat. Don't text it right now. Text it on Monday or at 501. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying to hook you up. So I used to tell everyone, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to hook you up. I'm trying to do something good for my country, man. So make sure you stay, with our social medias, our YouTube page. We'll have recaps from tomorrow's practice. Brandy Flores, Vinny Bonsignor, and myself will make sure that we have a full recap, and we'll have it up on the YouTube page as well. We'll be back here on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Aloha! It's RaiderNation Radio 920.